call it a lie, they actually their own identity is a contradiction. Their own identity is a lie. So the world that they look at, obviously, they're not going to be able to. So yeah, that's it. It's a twofold attack, bro.
So Marty, let me ask you this: you were growing Raqia for a long time earlier. It felt like you were
His
going
name is
against.
still Flat Earthers Are Silly.
No, it's not. That's not his name anymore. It sounded like you were taking the opposing side. So are you for pushing the transgender agenda in schools and stuff? Yo,
So
your
you
name
meant me?
can't be. I changed your name to be not an insult, and you
No,
changed it to now be an insult again.
That's what I'm saying,
never
bro.
was.
I told
What's
you,
the
Jeremy.
insult?
Never was.
What's the insult?
I told-
I told you,
Funny?
Jeremy, bro.
We're funny how? Funny, we're here to amuse. I'm here to amuse you.
You're funny.
You're funny.
It's a compliment. Usually
fun-
that's a compliment for most people. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't like it.
You don't
Bro,
like being called
you're a
funny?
troll, dude. I don't like getting trolled, and you're a fucking troll. Like hardcore troll. It's not even like low key, like no tanks or something. It's like blatant troll. It's crazy. You're not even good at it.
Look at yourself. You come in, and you're just shouting to. Yes, you make flat earths are dumb. What the fuck is wrong with you? Stop with it. Talk about the topic and stop with this damn bullshit.
All right. Do. The fallacy of the day, serving it up Jeremy's way, double edition. All right, today we're gonna go over today we're gonna go over ad populum fallacy and appeal to authority fallacy because some people on the server don't seem to understand. So first, what these fallacies are, what they entail. So first, we're gonna go through the ad populum fallacy. Here we go. Ad populum fallacy, also appeal to popularity or bandwagon fallacy, happens when someone argues that a claim must be true, good, or correct simply because many people believe in it. Here is a basic form of fallacy. Most people think X is true, therefore X is true. Gotcha. So you appeal to the opinions of many people or the beliefs of many people. Problem is that popularity doesn't guarantee truth. People can be widely misinformed, pressured by trends, influenced by marketing, or following others without evidence. So, we're going to go on to a more specific question here. So, here's the question. If a large number of people in a population make a discovery, and is that an appeal to possibility? Here's the direct answer. No, it is not an ad populum fallacy. When many people make a discovery, if a large number of people independently discover something and share the same result, that's evidence, not an appeal to popularity. The conclusion is supported by data, repeatability, and independent verification. Wow. So, if a bunch of people were to say, mail in tests and get false positives, that's not appealing to their opinion. That's directly not an ad populum fallacy. An ad populum fallacy would be you're appealing to their opinion, not what they've done, their results, their findings. So there, thank you. Now the next fallacy here. We have the appeal to authority. This happens when someone argues that the claim must simply be true because an authority figure says it's true. So here we go. Person A is an expert or an important figure. Person A claims to be true. So why it's a fallacy? Even experts can be wrong. Okay, so a plumber talking about plumbing can be wrong. A scientist talking about science can be wrong. A doctor talking about medicine can be wrong. That's why it's a fallacy, because experts can be wrong. They're not infallible. Another reason why it's a fallacy, the argument relies on people's status rather than evidence or reasoning. Okay, so we all know what an appeal to authority is, right? Saying it must be right because that guy says so and he's an authority, i.e., if a plumber says something about a pipe, it's automatically right because they're a plumber. If a scientist says something about science, they're automatically right because they have the title scientist. That is the appeal to authority. Now, here we have the question. Here's the question. If a president does an experiment publicly and states his findings, is this an appeal to authority? Here's what it says back. If a president does an experiment, and you cite that experiment, the results, not their status, it is not an appeal to authority. Evidence is evidence no matter who gathers it. Thank you very much. That'll be all.
I think this is a big problem. Because it seems really often that experts are behind something and they get right, but you see that they are wrong. It's like with the corona epidemic, you know.
So if your car breaks down, you don't bring it to a mechanic?
For sure, because I know he knows what he's doing.
Because he's an expert?
Bro, you just don't get anything anybody says, huh? You think
Okay,
mechanics
I
make
do.
mistakes and can be wrong? Just because they're experts in their field doesn't mean they're right every time or can diagnose something that's even wrong with your car. As you clip me again, dude, it's the same guy.
Well, that's because you're not talking about what I'm saying. That's not what I said at all. I never said a mechanic can never be wrong. I just asked if
You asked if he's
if your
not an
car breaks.
expert. You asked if he's not an expert. That was your question at the end of your statement. It's weird.
No,
It's not what we said. It's not what was
no,
being
I
said
said
in the conversation. Yes, they're experts. They're experts in their field. They're trained. They have a lot of knowledge. The point
Right.
is they're not always right. You got it now? You got it. You got it now.
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. It just
Okay,
seems that if you
you're
have
confirming that.
a problem or if you don't understand something, you usually go to the experts to get the understanding of the thing that you're not sure of.
No one said that you don't. Not one person.
Okay.
Again,
And
I'm asking
how
you if
does
you understand the
right?
conversation that's going on.
Yeah, I said I understand it like 3 times. Now my
But
question is,
then you
how,
asked if you bring your car to an
So-
expert mechanic. That's not what the
Right.
conversation is about.
so how
Yes,
does one
they're
become an
experts.
expert?
Yo, let me
We're
know when I
talking
can
about
bring
if
some
experts.
substance to this convo. I have some stuff to say. So in summary, real quick. Showing when people have done something and gotten results is neither an ad populum fallacy nor an appeal to authority. Here's the clear breakdown. Not ad populum. Ad populum is when you state or when you argue many people believe X, therefore X is true. So reporting what many people have found, their experiments and evidence, is not a belief. It is not an appeal to popularity, not an appeal to authority. An appeal to authority is X is true because an authority says so. But reporting what someone actually did and the results they produced and citing it is not an appeal to authority. What you're describing is simply the evidence and who has it. Final summary. Beliefs can lead to ad populum. Claiming something based solely on status can lead to authority, but showing results is not a fallacy. It is a valid form of argument. Okay, so someone yesterday definitely didn't know what they were talking about when it came to ad populum and appeal to authority.
Can I ask you something? So if you go to like the majority opinion of all the experts in a field, is their opinion more likely to be correct than false?
All right, so that's my fallacies of the day. Well, we all clearly see that there's a difference between appealing to the results many people find and just appealing to their opinion. If you conflate results of real life actions with opinions, you, sir, are the fallacious one making a category error, not the person showing the population with the results. Thank you very much.
It's hard to keep up with all that, huh?
No, it's pretty basic. But I'm just gonna say the question I have.
Your friends don't. Your friends don't get it
If you
though.
have
Your global friends
you have
don't understand that. Your boy
if
Jace
you
does
have
not understand this.
so if you take all the experts in a field and you take their majority opinion, is it more likely to be true than false?
Yeah, you can't. We can't tell. I mean, this is just a completely hypothetical, imaginary situation. We
Okay,
can't
so if you
answer.
take
We can't answer. We can't answer like a question like that. It's just like you're asking like if we have 100 dragons, how many are purple? Like, well, what the fuck are you talking about?
so if you take all the professional land surveyors in the world and their majority opinion is that the Earth is a sphere, is that more likely to be true or is that more likely to be false?
That's actually literally an appeal to authority mixed with an appeal to popularity. Like you're doing the exact thing. You literally just directly appeal to their opinion, which is what makes it a fallacious argument.
Well, I appeal to many people's opinions, many experts in the
Yes,
field.
that's what makes it fallacious. That's what
So,
makes it a
well, the
fallacy.
question I'm not stating
You have
that
to
it
appeal
is
to the
true.
results, not their
I'm not
opinion.
I'm not stating that it is true. I'm asking if it's more likely to be true.
Yeah, we don't know if it's more likely to be true. That's asking us to have perfect knowledge, omniscience. No one can answer the question.
I
When he
don't
brought up
understand how
hang
more
on, hang on.
likely. I don't understand how more likely is like a perfect understanding of anything.
Do you
It's
know
not a
all the
perfect
factors that
understanding.
influence the likelihood, or are you just guessing? Your question doesn't. Your question that like it lacks depth or specificity. It doesn't apply to real life.
Yeah, when he brought up
You're
the
trying
land
to justify
surveyors.
a fallacy. Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
No, I just want to get in because he brought up land surveyors, and they all think that the Earth is a sphere. That's fine and all, but find me one surveyor that says level is not horizontal. Find me
I stick to
one.
the.
Bring
I
him
He
in
stick to
said
them
here.
their
all the time.
opinion. He said
Yeah,
their
bring him
opinion
in
would be
here and get him to tell us. Hey, can I get my sentence out uninterrupted, please? Find
Please, yes.
one land surveyor that does not say that level is horizontal. Go ahead.
I mean,
I feel like
Thank
that's
you.
pretty easy. I
I
feel like
mean,
that's
Shoebill
pretty
has been
easy.
in here before, hasn't he? Hasn't Shoebill been in here before?
Let's see Shoebill's credentials then
Yeah,
that he's a
the
land
pilot land
surveyor.
surveyor. Yeah, the
He's
pilot
not.
land surveyor.
He is
Sure.
Yeah,
he is a
The
licensed
he's
land
pilot
not.
land
surveyor.
surveyor. Yeah, licensed pilot land
So
surveyor. Yeah, for sure. For sure, bro. Yeah.
And
I
he's
100%.
mean,
gonna come in here and say level is not horizontal. And when he
yeah,
does that, we need to have another land surveyor come in and back him up.
okay.
And then we need another land
I'm
surveyor to
not.
come in and back him up.
Isn't that Isn't that appealing to popularity?
No, we're gonna get a
He's
bunch of
just
Yeah.
here to troll you, bro.
testimonies.
He's a
I
contrarian.
want a
He's
Yeah.
gonna argue.
yeah, I want a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
He's just
How?
gonna
Yeah.
argue
So
with
how?
you. He did it earlier. He's doing it. We've deemed him a troll. It's over with for him. People will stop
Oh, sorry.
talking to
How?
him. All he does is disagree. If you see, he's like Zanuck a year ago. When we gave Zanuck an argument, he disagreed with it, and then a couple weeks later, we gave him his side of the argument, and he disagreed with that. We were just doing it to troll him to prove that he's just gonna argue the opposite side, and he did.
That's
It's
So,
called
awesome.
that's called
feels crazy.
Yeah,
contrarianism.
that's fucking
All
awesome.
right. So
That's so
Contrarianism.
cool.
Yeah.
for the guy who was asking for the land surveyors, how many land surveyors do you need to come in here? How many?
Well, I'll take one qualified one that shows a tool and method used to measure curved water. I don't care of his opinion or his worldview. I don't give a shit about that. If a land surveyor can't establish a horizontal and measure down to the curved water, then He's no use to me. It's just like any other person who believes or has faith in what they've been taught about the shape of the earth.
Yeah, I think Raqia understands what's fallacious and not, and just appealing to an opinion as opposed to looking at the evidence and methodologies. Raqia is on the strong side, the side that isn't fallacious. Anyone just appealing to opinion is on the fallacious side and automatically loses. So you either have to
Yeah,
meet him on that side or you're unreasonable person. To meet him,
that's
show
what
him the
the flat
methods.
earther guy said. He said the opinion of the land surveyors. I don't give a shit about their opinions.
Yeah,
I want to see
we
their
just
tools
got
and
over
methods.
we just got over reviewing that the exact point at which it becomes fallacious is when you appeal to an opinion. So he just had like a
Yeah,
whole 2 to 5 minute explanation on what makes the authority and appeal to populum and what makes it not, in depth, down to the very minuscule detail.
and he
And
said
he
it was
still
easy to
doesn't.
keep up
Yeah,
with.
yeah. It was the next. It was literally the next argument he made
He said
was
their opinion.
fallacious. Was the exact
Yeah.
fallacious. Yeah, was the exact fallacy.
All
So
right.
we went over a fallacy for 5 minutes, and then the next statement made is a guy using that exact fallacy. What you? It would be
Well,
unbelievable if we didn't witness it
I
here.
didn't use that fallacy. I asked if a question if it was more likely to be true or not. So that's not like a fallacy to ask that question. But to the
Your
other thing,
rhetoric
like,
is
all right,
fallacious.
so you don't want the opinion of a land surveyor. What data would you accept from a land surveyor that proves the Earth is spherical? What data?
Again, you didn't listen to what I said. Tool and method used to base their opinion on water curving is what I want. They can come up with anything else they want. They can tell me what religion they are, what's their favorite color. It doesn't matter. Tool and
So
method used to determine that the water is curving. I bet you can't come up with one of those that can be replicated.
a GNSS receiver,
Can't be replicated.
a GNSS receiver.
Not going to establish a horizontal line and measure down to curving water now, is it? It's going to calculate based on a formula. Correct? Establish a horizontal like a land surveyor does, right? Day one of course 101 of surveying, establish a horizontal baseline from a benchmark, do that over water, and measure down to the curved water. Find me one of those guys. They'll know the tool and method they used. I'll have the tool already because I have all of them, and I can surely probably have done the method before and go try and replicate it to prove them right or wrong.
What they do is they have these GNS receivers on buoys on the water, so they're measuring like the water elevations, and it shows a curved Earth. So that's exactly
You're
what
just
you
spouting
want.
BS to the audience now.
Okay.
I don't want anything programmed, right? I want to establish a horizontal line. What surveyors do, like I said, method 101, first order measurement. No calculations, no programming.
So you don't even want them to use the total stations that are available now. They have to go back to theodolites where there's no programming. That's what they have to use. This is theodolite. They can't use a total station.
Sorry, walking into the bank to deposit money that I use these methods with. I'll be back.
No worries, bro. We won't. We're not going to listen to you. We're going to listen to Shoebill, the pilot surveyor.
Well, I'm going for my license, so in 5 months when I have it, you'll start listening to me.
Yeah, we're going to appeal to your authority. We're just all of a sudden become fallacious.
Oh, you just found out that I'm gonna get my license in surveying, and now it doesn't matter that
You just
now, like,
found
being
out
a
that it's a
licensed surveyor
fallacy, and
doesn't
we've been
matter.
explaining
Now,
the
now,
appeal to
now being
authority
a
this
licensed
morning the
surveyor
whole time.
doesn't matter. Then why did you
Now,
care
the
what
appeal to
Shoebill has to
authority.
say?
Now the appeal to
Why?
authority is still a fallacy, as it was when I explained it 10 minutes ago.
I'm curious, do they teach you that level is curved?
Yes.
Wow. Amazing. Truly amazing.
It's demonstrated to be that way. It's demonstrated to be that way.
Only in your head, bro. Only in your head.
No,
Means
no,
level
not only
means
in my head.
straight. It's no curve.
You do long range reciprocal zenith angle tests, and that's what you get is curvature.
So what flat earthers are silly is telling us is that a water level tool does not create a horizontal plane of reference.
That's what
without
they teach
actually saying those words. Go ahead, flat earthers.
It creates a horizontal plane for that specific reference point, but as soon as you go far enough distance away, you need to establish a new horizontal frame of reference because level is in fact curved.
So there's different horizontals, or there's different horizontals at different locations, or horizontal curves. It has to be one or the other. You can't have both.
You said projecting a horizontal plane from a specific reference point. As soon as you go, that horizontal plane, if you're talking about being perpendicular from the force of acceleration, is not the same at a different reference point.
So there's infinite planes, horizontal planes is your claim now. At every point, there's a new horizontal plane that doesn't match up with the previous horizontal plane.
If like for the specific horizontal plane of that specific reference point at that specific location.
Now he's trying to pull the wool over your eye.
Instead of asking yes or no,
trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
Which is perpendicular. Which is perpendicular
to
that
yes or no question, SE?
Which is perpendicular to that acceleration force at that point. Another reference point where the acceleration force has a different vector.
But
so your answer is a yes, right? Wait. To the yes or no question, to the yes or no question, that long snow job was just your long convoluted way to take up mic time and say yes. Am I correct?
Incorrect.
Oh, so you're saying no. So no, it's not. There isn't different horizontal planes.
A horizontal plane is not a point.
Very good.
Very good. So when does the plane that's created by the water level start to curve, sir?
Planes don't curve. Planes don't curve. That's a oxymoron.
Thank you, Noah. You get it.
My point is, as soon as you go away from
that, he can't answer a yes or no, a logical binary yes or no question,
and establish a level. That level line, if you want to call that from that thing, is a tangent of the acceleration force. They're all different at different locations. That's how that works.
Snow job. He was asked a yes or no. He was asked a yes or no question. He still has not answered yes or no to a true dichotomy, a true binary. He has just snow jobbed the entire time. Thank you very much.
He's trolling now. Horizontal tangents are horizontal lines anyway. So are chord lines. Do they teach how to make a horizontal line in surveying school anymore, or
he can't even tell the truth. He can't even truthfully answer a yes or no question. So I don't know why you're asking him questions that are more
y'all
complex.
are asking. That's what I'm saying. He's trolling. I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. But
you just witnessed me ask him a clear-cut binary true dichotomy question, yes or no. And instead of answering after it was asked 3 times very clearly, he snow jobbed 3 separate times. So you witnessed that, and then you went to ask an open-ended question. So it's on you from this point on. Your feet in the shark.
I don't need to talk to him at all. That's
clear as I can. Horizontal planes do not follow a level line.
So they're horizontal, not curving, right? Because your level line is curved, so the horizontal plane
level curves.
Okay, level curves and horizontal planes don't, right? How long can you make a horizontal plane accurately?
Correct.
Huh?
Always
can you as a potential surveyor establish a horizontal line and extend that horizontal line where it doesn't curve down or up? Yes or no? Hello?
Yeah. Yes.
How long of a distance can you do that for? How long can you do that for? And what tool and method would you use?
Well, it's never going to be.
I didn't ask
There's
that.
no tool that will
I
get a
never
perfect
asked that.
horizontal line because
I
there's only
never
levels
asked
of
that.
accuracy.
I never asked that. What tool and method can you use to make it the most accurate where it's not going to curve down? It's going to go up and down above your established benchmark because you're going to have inaccuracy every time you make a measurement. We know your tactic, right? We know where you're going. I'm going to head you off at the pass. So I've done that. So now we're not talking about that anymore. We're talking about how long of a horizontal line can you make that is not going in one direction or the other. It's just off here and there off the original benchmark. How long?
A couple 100 feet, probably accurate, like for your level of accuracy that you probably want.
Good luck in school, sir.
Belongs on technology, you know. You can use a laser or just something to see that it's horizontal. Yes,
I
you
have a
can do
question for
this.
Raqia.
You can do this
Raqia,
endless because you won't find the curve.
Raqia, you just asked a question to this one, yeah. You just asked a question to that guy, about how long you can establish a horizontal for. I would like to know your answer to the question, but he
Infinite.
didn't. Infinite.
There is
Okay.
there is no definition, like especially in surveying school, that you can extend a horizontal plane in all directions at
You
all
asked me
points.
for
Yeah.
a
You got
tool
anything?
that you can use. So what tool can you use to extend a horizontal line infinitely that you can that you're measuring against? What tool is that?
Lasers, theodolites, a ruler, a string, a board.
They
Some are
know.
more accurate than others. I'm sorry
Reflects
if
the
that took
sun.
so long and wasn't really precise, but this is the best I can do on the situation I'm in. What do you
So,
mean, what tool? You're the surveyor, sir.
Raqia, have you extended one of these lines yourself?
Yes, since kindergarten I've been doing it. I used to
And
use a ruler that was
Just
1 foot long on a sheet of
just
paper. Now I use theodolites.
okay. So my
find
follow up
me
question,
find me
yo
any
yo
laser. Find me
yo
any laser that
yo,
has that
shut up,
range.
bro.
Find
Shut
me
up.
the
I'm
laser
asking
that
a
has the
question,
infinite
bro.
range.
Bro, I'm asking a follow up question. Shut your mouth. Okay, Raqia. When you have done these extensions of lines, which you say potentially could go for infinity, now obviously no one can practically get to infinity, but how long in finite feet or lengths did you extend your line to?
2.7 miles.
Did you see the water level, I guess, curve down away from your extended straight line over the course of those what was it, 2.8 miles is what you said?
2.7 miles. And no, actually, in the first 3/4 of a mile, it was above the benchmark, which would say the water was curving up like concave. And overall, the 2.7 miles, it was 3/4 of an inch below the original benchmark. It went plus or minus, just like what we would expect with taking different measurements. We would be plus and minus above and below the original benchmark just because of tool error or human error or whatever.
So there wasn't a consistent curving away of the water level from the original horizontal plane established at the start.
To our surprise, there was not, because everyone on the group, the 3 groups that were doing the measurements with 3 different tools at 3 different time periods, like one behind the other, everybody in the groups were Globers at the time. We expected
So
the
it
water
I'm
to
should
not
have,
going to
curve.
accept
So
your.
that's
I'm not going to
direct.
accept
That's
your
but
direct.
it
opinion.
should have
That's
I want the
curved.
direct.
data.
So
I want the data.
final question
I'm not
then.
going to accept this
Final
opinion.
question.
I want the data.
Final question. Yeah, this is a testimony, not an opinion. Learn the difference, retard. So final question. So when this happened, what exactly did like? This is obviously evidence against a globe Earth, an Earth with a consistent sphericity to its surface. What exactly was your guys? This is the final question. You guys can shit on it as much as you want after. What was your guy like? What exactly happened? What was the fallout from this discovery amongst you and your peers?
We thought we did something wrong, or that local lake was static and was not curving. But we thought as Globers that we had done it wrong. Like we didn't know the globe math, right? No one really did back then. This was like 12 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever. And no one really knew what it should be. We just knew we should find drop away from horizontal of the water from a benchmark in any direction. That's what a sphere would do. That's just common sense. We all use these tools to make a living, and we thought we did the process correctly. And when we came up with those results, we actually couldn't believe it was that accurate. We thought we would be a lot more off, up or down, but came up to that, kind of medium, and just thought we had done it wrong. And we went researching and talking to people how we could do it better, and haven't found a good answer yet. 10 years.
How'd you compare the level line from the first point to the final point, 2.7 miles away?
In increments. We extended the horizontal plane. You'll learn that in probably the first 3 days of surveying school.
Yeah, why do you have to do short increments to do differential leveling?
If you use a optic and do long distance, especially over water in Louisiana, you're going to get all kind of funky results. You're going to have to throw them out or calculate something or do whatever, and we didn't want to do that. We wanted to get as close to first order measurement as we could, and we wanted to use 3 or 4 different methods and tools to go back and close the loop or recheck other people's work, so we know at doing it one time we were doing it the most accurate way. And all 3 groups were within the parameter. Like, it's not like one group made a huge mistake and got concave, and one group made a huge mistake and got planar. We all got planar Earth.
So
okay, I'd like to go now.
The reason why you have such a big difference when you compare it at 2.7 miles is because that's where you can actually notice the difference in curvature. When you do extremely short increments and can carry a level, you're just telling me you're carrying the level line. You're not proving that the level line is horizontal.
You don't even know how we did or what method we used. So how would you say that? You know how when you
just said you did differential leveling in short increments.
If you're just going to troll me, I'm just going to talk all over you. You can't troll me every time we talk. So if you're in kindergarten and you take a 1-foot ruler that you're required to bring to class, and you make a line on a sheet of paper or on the wall or a cardboard sheet or whatever, and then you move that ruler to the left and you line up half the ruler with your existing line and then extend that line, that's a straight line segment. That's all you do. It doesn't matter if what you're standing on is curved or you move your instrument or whatever. That's not what we're doing. We're extending the straight line segment.
Yeah, that's not the same thing though.
Yeah, Left Lane knows because he's done this a lot.
No, the reason why you have to do short intervals for differential leveling is because Earth is curved. And when you do it over long distance, you get inaccurate things, which is why you said, when we do it over the long distances, like in wherever, Louisiana or what you said, we get all sorts of funky things. Well, your funky thing is the fact that you're measuring Earth's curvature.
No, the funky thing is that sometimes it's above the crosshairs and the majority of the time it's below. That's why we call it funky and wouldn't use it. That's why we don't do it, because we wouldn't get paid. While we do small increments, especially in Louisiana, it's because you're looking through an optic. And when you do that long distance, you don't get accuracy. And in surveying school, if they teach you the longer the measurement, the more accurate you're going to be, you need to leave that class as fast as you can and go find another class that knows what they're talking about.
So when you're doing surveying, the long distance measurements is so you have better angle corrections, because if you have that's why you do like a longer distance. If you do, so for example, if you do a measurement,
he thinks it's more accurate.
If when you do a measurement, say like you have like 2 points 10 feet away and your rod is just slightly off, you're going to get a good horizontal distance, but your angle will be more sufficient, will be a greater angle error. Where if you do a measurement
Okay, I
Where's
want
the
to
angle
respond
of
to
the
that, bro.
horizontal?
Where if you do a measurement 200 feet away, the angle error is a lot smaller because even if your rod is shifted a half inch to the left and you're not like if your rod is leaning, well, the angle error is going to be much less than compared to a half inch from 10 feet away.
Hey, give me
What's the
5
angle
seconds.
measurement of the horizontal line?
Raqia, give me
Oh,
5
sorry.
seconds. Give me 5 seconds. So if you're saying the long distance measurement is more accurate than the the stage short distance measurements, then that means concave Earth results are more accurate in your concaver now. Like this, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, I'm saying that these like the quote that like oh the longer distance is inaccurate. That's a relative thing because a very short distance measurement of like 10 feet using a total station will lead you to a greater angle error. But like if you go 1,000 feet off, then you're going to have an issue with your vertical error, not so
Yeah,
much your horizontal error. Your horizontal measurement is not going to be very inaccurate at like 1,000 feet away. It's just not. It's your vertical error that will be off.
you are correct. You are correct if the apparent position of what you're measuring is not apparent. But it is apparent, therefore that's why you need to do short increments. If it was a tangible, known coordinate that was not apparent, then you would be correct. But it is always apparent at long distance, right? That's right. And they're using the thickness of the crosshair to look at a mountain, like the top of a mountain or whatever. Like it's ludicrous. No one that gets paid, right, like makes a living to make horizontal and make rise over run from that horizontal does anything over 300 feet in my area increments, because you're just going to be so inaccurate. You're not going to make a living doing it. You're going to have so many things wrong, and it's not going to be curving down all the time. It's going to be curving up sometimes. It's going to be planar sometimes. It's going to be curving down sometimes. That's why no one uses it.
It seems like that you say like you're in the construction field. If you're building a house and a surveyor comes to establish a base elevation, what tool are they using to get an elevation for that point?
Yeah, like
What does that have to do
Nope.
with what Raqia just said?
No,
What the fuck?
there's no. First of all, you
What
don't use
the
a theodolite to
fuck?
get a
Red
to get
herring,
a
you
base
could have just responded to what he
That
said.
was a red herring. Yeah.
you
What
can.
the fuck, bro? We like all were silent and we listened to what you say, and then you just fucking shit on the combo.
Mine did. Mine shot a manhole that's probably, I'm looking at the manhole right now. It's probably 50 yards away from the tree that he put the nail in. And these some bitches did it wrong the first time. Cost me $1 million, or about $1 million in
You said
value.
you said you said a nail in a tree. So how did
Yeah,
they get the
elevation.
elevation to put? How do they get the elevation, the original base point, when they originally do their first setup? What tool they're using to get elevations in surveying these
I don't
days?
know. This elevation is marked on the manhole cover. That's about 50 yards away at the end of my street that
It's
I
called
own land. I own 30 acres at the end of the street.
it's with GPS. It's a GNS receiver. That's how they get elevations.
Yeah, but not for not forever. And not always. Not all surveyors have GPS theodolites. And the ones that do, the GPS
All
that they
modern
use when
day
they take
all
elevation take refraction into account, which is that's where your earth curve
all
comes from.
all surveyors that are currently working, in order to get an elevation, use GNS receivers.
Okay, well
That's
this
what
was
they
20 years
use.
ago when I bought
If they're
this
not,
land.
if you're not using it, if you're not using a GNS receiver, then you have to use assumed coordinates where you're just making up an elevation.
I don't know how they got it on the manhole cover, but they have placards and manhole covers and all that that's marked with elevation from mean sea level. I'm 66 feet above mean sea level, and my house, because of floodplain, had to be 7 feet above that. So they didn't use a GPS when they did it 20 years ago on my land or on this plot of land. I mean, I've developed other larger parcels of land since then, and I've had surveyors that my current surveyor that I pay uses a GPS receiver, but I talked to him about it, and it has refraction built in.
Don't you guys have those surveying points though around the land, like they do in my state? You go to the
we have
point, you put, and
everywhere.
there ain't no, dude. I mean, we just had the elevation shot for the top of a well we just completed. They didn't use any GPS, so I mean, unless they started at one of those points, that are established by GPS, they started on the road, came up into the field, up into the mountain, all with just lenses and fucking that thing that you hold, bro. There was no GPS involved. So I don't know what this guy's talking about. You need
Well, it might be in
GPS to
his
be
area or
licensed.
something. Might be. I can't like deny it. I know some surveyors that I hire have the GPS units, but that's not what we use all the time. We use story poles very often, but it's in drainage mostly. It doesn't have to be within the centimeter. So to be fair, if they had to be more accurate, maybe they would use a GPS. I'm not saying that's not accurate, right, and taking elevation shots. But saying it's based on Earth curve and when it uses refraction is just not being true. And when I talk to the surveyor that I know personally and that I work with on a weekly basis, I mean, this is what we do every day. They've never measured water curving. They actually laugh about it. Like, what are you talking about, water curving? They've never even thought about it. They're not in this debate like you are or whatever. They just believe that what they taught in school and in their books is true. They can use it accurate enough to make a living, and they go home and have sex and have a couple beers and they're happy. They don't give a shit about this.
No.
Speaking of surveyors, right? Hold on, man. Let me get in, please. I've been trying for hello? Please let me get in. I've been trying now for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Sure.
So to our surveyor buddy, right? I posted a picture 35 past the hour. Have a look at it. I stopped a Montreal surveyor while he was doing his job, and I asked him what Raqia is talking about right now. How far can we extend the straight line segment? And look what he drew on the pole with his marker, right? He told me that the straight line can be extended all the way out to space. Have a look at that. 35 past the hour.
Yep. That's why I said infinitely. Because if it's a theory, right? But if you did it correctly, it wouldn't follow a curve. It'd extend out into space like he's talking about. And remember, I was on here live one time and pulled up on a job site, and there was a surveyor on the street. I went and talked to him live. I said, hey, for accuracy, for your paycheck, what's the longest distance you would establish a horizontal line using that tool with that optic? And he said 300 feet. I mean, that's...
You notice how in SE's picture, the circle is Earth and the horizontal plane extends out into space, not following Earth's curvature, being that horizontal is not following a level. That's literally what SE posted.
Yeah. So that's not
a surveyor.
That's not what was found, though.
Surveyor.
But the water level creates a horizontal.
Wait, Rob. You
Hold on,
heard
Noah,
me,
let him
Rob. What are
finish.
you doing, Rob? What the surveyor drew was what is supposed to happen according to the theory. What Raqia's testimony is that specifically in practice, that's not what occurred. That's not what the results were in reality. So appealing
not on my
to an opinion...
Raqia said the horizontal line wouldn't go into space.
Appealing to an opinion of a drawing on what should happen is fallacious, whereas appealing to actual results gotten by real men on the ground is not, and is an actual argument. Do you have a non-fallacious argument for us, please?
And I would say it's just on my local...
Man, what's the name of the fallacy? What's the name of the fallacy, though?
He was responding. Flat Earth Funny was responding.
Oh, I didn't hear him.
I just want to say...
No. Flat Earth Funny's responding.
Hold on, bro. Let Flat Earth respond, guys. Please, man.
Yeah, let him respond. After that, though, I want to know what the name of the fallacy is, please, Noah. But let this guy respond.
Just respond to Raqia. I saw lots of measurements,
Not
on
you, bro.
areas.
Not you, bro. Hello. The other guy, man. What's going on with people today and yesterday? The Flat Earth guy gets to respond now. Please let him respond.
So you don't want me to appeal? Yeah. So you don't want me to appeal to the expert that SE appealed to when asking the question?
No, the floor is yours. Go ahead, bro.
Wait. I'll respond to that directly.
Wait. No, Noah. No waiting. He's going to go now. Nobody else talk.
Who's
Okay, I
he?
just want to say I saw a
Not
lot of
you, man.
measurements.
The other. Jesus Christ, man. What is wrong with you people? The flat Earth guy. Go. Nobody
Wait,
else talk.
no, he just made his thing and said it to me, and I was going to respond. He just made his statement.
No. The flat Earth guy is gonna talk now. Nobody else talk. Please. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I'll say it again. Do you want me not? You don't want me to appeal to the expert that SE appealed to when asking a question to find
Okay,
out
can I
something.
answer that? Can I answer that directly? Because that's the second time. So
Yeah,
he's
go
already
ahead.
made
Yeah.
his statement. So he already made that statement, SC. I wasn't interrupting him. That's him repeating what he already said. So I'm going to do the thing I was originally going to do, which is respond to that. So it is not that it's a problem. The problem is not, the problem is you're appealing to a drawing that a guy made of what should happen, an opinion. When you appeal to someone's opinion and say their opinion is correct because they have authority, that is a textbook appeal to authority. Now, when our side appeals to real life results, not the authority of the man, but the results, the real life results, that is not an appeal to authority. That is a valid argument of substance. Do you have a substantive rebuttal to that that is not fallacious? Thank you.
Yeah, so if I were to find you a survey of what we call a township in surveying, which shows that as you go north from the equator, longitude lines get closer to each other, and as you go south from the equator, longitude lines get closer to each other. Would that be enough evidence and data to show you that Earth is a sphere?
It's a non sequitur. We're not talking about meridians or latitudes or longitudes. We're talking about water level. Please stay on
We're talking
subject. You
about
cannot red herring fallacy. Try again. That was fallacious.
so if in fact Earth is a sphere and water is sticking to its surface, that would prove that water is curving. So if we measure parts of Earth where those measurements directly lead to Earth being spherical, that would prove that water is curving.
Red herring fallacy. We are directly talking about extending the line of the horizontal plane, the line in the horizontal plane off of the Earth into space, because that is what's supposed to happen. That's what we're talking about. Do not red herring. Stop using fallacies. Address it
All right.
directly and
So
substantially.
fine, I'll do that. So if in fact we measure Earth to show that it's spherical and level is always pointing down to the center of Earth's gravitational force, then that would prove that extending a horizontal line from any specific point would shoot off into space and not follow the surface of the Earth.
Okay. You now understand the question. Now I'm going to tell you what we found. As per Raqia's testimony, we have found in practicality, when you create a horizontal plane, it does not deviate against the water level like it should at 8 inches per mile squared. That is a that is an argument and a substantive evidence behind it. Now, can you create a substantive, non-fallacious rebuttal? Please, sir. This is the 5th time I'm asking.
Yeah, my rebuttal to that is the fact that Raqia had to do very short increments, otherwise he would get funky results because Earth is in fact curved. And I can explain this example to you. I can do an illustration for you if you want. If you want to give me so I can upload a picture of perms of how it works, where short increments will be able to track a spherical object with level lines. I can explain that to
Are
you.
you?
I bet
Go
you
ahead.
can't. I bet you're going to make the instrument lean because you say you're on a sphere Earth, and that's not what I'm talking about. I bet you're going to move the instrument and make the angle different. So, which means making a disco ball with horizontal lines. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about extending the straight line segment like you would with a ruler on the wall. It doesn't matter if the floor is curving or not. The straight line segment that you extend is going to be plus or minus from the original benchmark. Thank you. I'll be here all week, by the way.
Is that what you're saying you did in your observation, Raqia?
And I've really, you've been here long enough. Come on, man.
No,
Yeah, dude, that's
that's
so
a direct
crazy.
question. Is that what you're saying that you did in your observation?
I'm saying that's what every surveyor, everybody who extends a straight line horizontal and closes the loop does. Not
So
just me.
each time they move their instrument, they're not establishing a fresh horizontal.
No, they're going back and
that's wrong.
shooting the original. Yeah, I don't know how you know that would be wrong because you didn't even hear what we did. And you obviously don't know because you've never done it. Ever. You've never probably even looked through a theodolite. Have you ever extended a straight line segment in your life?
Yes, I've done differential leveling. I sure have.
Okay, so when you take a ruler and extend that ruler left or right on your original horizontal line, does it matter what you're standing on when you're doing it?
That's not what you're doing when you're differential
That's
leveling.
what I did. That's what I did. I didn't
No,
do it.
because each time you move your instrument, you're getting a new horizontal at the position of the instrument.
Prove it. Prove it. Then how do you know Earth is curving?
Prove it. I mean, that's just the way it works.
It's just how it works. It's just how we theorized it. It's how we put it in the books. You know, I can't prove it. You just said that's just how it works. That was your rebuttal to show me the tool and method that you would do. So you're saying extending a straight line segment, a horizontal plane, isn't possible, left lane. Jesus, bro. Good luck with that.
So I finished my drawing. If anyone wants to give me camera, if anyone wants to give me camera perms, and I can post a picture explaining how this works.
You're going to be a surveyor. Do you think it's possible to extend a straight line segment and make a horizontal plane or not? I mean, because if it is
I'm just going to wait till I get. Camera perms, post a picture so I can explain this more clearly.
You can do
because otherwise it's going to be harder to explain.
And I'll post it.
Let me guess. He moved his instrument and he created a disco ball of horizontal lines. I mean, come on, man. This is 10 years of this. No one can go back to kindergarten and take the ruler and slide it to the left and right and extend the straight line segment and then measure down to the edge of the paper and tell me if it's curved or not, or angled, or if it's perfectly parallel, or if you do it on your wall at home, tell me if your floor is curving. Really? 2025, are we this dumbed down? If you take a string and you're able to make a horizontal line with it, and then you take another string of the same length and start in the middle of the original horizontal and line it up, just take sag out of it, right? Just think about it. There's no sag in the horizontal line. There's no sag in the horizontal line. I'm not sure why this guy just started talking right in the middle, man. Like explanation. This is a simple kindergarten. This is as simple as it gets. If you want a physical element of it, you got to do a string that doesn't have sag in it, and you can do it with a string. It's not as accurate as a tool that's developed by very smart engineers and manufactured. 2025, are we this dumbed down? If you take a string and you're able to make a horizontal line with it, and then you take another string of the same length and start in the middle of the original horizontal and line it up, just take sag out of it, right? Just think about it. There's no sag in the horizontal line. There's no sag in the horizontal line. I'm not sure why this guy just started talking right in the middle, man. Like explanation. This is a simple kindergarten. This is as simple as it gets. If you want a physical element of it, you got to do a string that doesn't have sag in it, and you can do it with a string. It's not as accurate as a tool that's developed by very smart engineers and manufactured to the preciseness that it makes a perfect, almost one you can't really even measure to not be perfect because you close the loop with it, a horizontal plane above any surface. That's why we do it.
Can I ask the man a question?
Okay. So SC posted the picture, and I'm going to explain it now. So for everyone, if you want to look in the chat at the picture that SC posted. So you see the two lines that get closer to the circle? That's when you do the measurement over long distance. And then when you do the shorter increments, that's what you get. That's why when you do differential leveling, you have to do very short increments. Otherwise, you will get inaccurate results.
There you have it. Didn't listen to anything I said, just went on about his business and posted something that's been posted for 10 years here, like we've never
Okay,
seen it.
so can I? Well, so looking at this diagram, the inherent claim is that you're at your point, you establish a horizontal plane, you go to the next point, it is your claim, given your diagram, you're inherently claiming that you cannot extend a straight line segment, that it is an impossibility, that once you go to the next point, instead of extending the straight line segment, you're establishing a new horizontal plane, which is not parallel with the previous one, not the same horizontal plane, a new one. And then you're doing this repeatedly. So you'd be claiming it's not possible to extend a straight line segment. That's what this is.
No, I'm saying that straight line segment will have a different elevation at the further point. If you extend, like that straight line will not have the same elevation as if you calculate Earth's curvature correctly. That's why you get different.
He just answered no to your question. And then showed a diagram that shows exactly what you said. His answer should have been yes. And he just snowballed it into different elevations.
I had it was Raqia. It was again a direct, simple, binary, true dichotomous question where you can either answer yes or no, and again we did not get a direct yes or no. I mean, it's the height of being dishonest if you can't answer a simple question like that, dude. What are you, a politician?
His elevation is from the center of the earth, keep in mind, audience, which he doesn't have. It's a calculation.
Well, the thing is, his statement has been addressed, and his question was answered, but I don't know why y'all are ignoring that.
He said no. I didn't ignore it. He said no.
Wait. My question was, do you affirm or deny, yes or no, true binary, that this depiction shows that you can't create a true straight line segment, that indeed what you're doing is establishing a new non-parallel horizontal plane each time you take the measurement along the thing? You either accept or deny that. Either that's what you said or it's not what you said. Either that's what your diagram is or it's not.
Yes, move the instrument, you're establishing a new
horizontal. Thank you for finally we got yes. Thank you. Fuck, it's like pulling teeth with these
every single time you move the instrument, you establish a new level for that specific location. That's what you're doing every single time.
So is it possible not to do that? Is it possible to establish a horizontal line and extend that horizontal line without following the curvature of the earth? Be careful when you answer this. Surveyor guy.
Yes, it is possible. You're going to have a different elevation. You're not going to have the same elevation. So, for example, if you're at 10 feet elevation,
he's double speaking. You're double speaking.
If you have a nail in the ground, that's
literally said it's possible and then described how it's not.
If you have a nail, if you have a nail in the ground that's 10 feet elevation, and then you have your instrument set up at 5 feet, and you set up the thing so that it's horizontal. If you go out a certain distance and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna keep my rod at 5 feet, I'm matching this 0 or whatever, it's gonna have a different elevation. Yes, absolutely.
Wait. You can either extend. Wait. You can either extend the straight line the straight line segment, or you can establish a new non-parallel horizontal plane. It's one or the other. Either you're extending within the same vector and direction as the line has been going, or you're creating a new plane and creating a new direction or vector in which you are extending the line. So either the line continues to go straight, or that's a corner and then it goes in a different direction. You can't have both. It's mathematically impossible.
Clearly.
You saying yes to both.
I can explain this more clearly.
Yes to both. You saying yes to both. You say shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
Come on, guys. Chill, man.
Shut your mouth.
Chill, man.
and
Shut
then
it.
you have
I'm in the middle of my. Yo, shut
and
it.
then you
I'm in
have
the
two
middle.
other
Be
nails,
quiet, bruh.
like a
Yo, be
mile and a half
quiet.
apart.
Be
You're
quiet,
gonna
bruh.
have to make the
Be
rod
quiet,
height
bruh.
Okay,
a
guys,
foot
cut
Yo,
it out. Let
higher
him
be quiet.
finish.
to keep
Flat Earth
that
guy, let Mo
horizontal line
finish,
from the midpoint.
Yo, be
bro.
quiet. I'm still trying to finish my point. Thank you. Okay, so it's saying yes to the fact that you're making a new horizontal, and also saying yes to the fact that you're extending the straight line segment is a contradiction in mathematics. You can't have both mathematically. It's impossible. It cannot be bent. It cannot be a corner and a straight line at the same time. You need to address that contradiction. One has to, the other has to be no. It can't both be yes. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Thank
He didn't. I
Yeah,
don't think you listened
so
to what he
like I
said.
said, if you have a nail, like that's at 10 feet elevation, you set up your instrument at 5 feet. If you go a mile and a half away, in order to keep that horizontal line, you would basically have to have the rod at 6 feet now.
Nobody
Snow
does
job.
that to make a
Snow
horizontal.
job.
Not one surveyor I've ever talked to in my life. No one would do that for accuracy. Not one person. Especially not a surveyor that gets paid. The only surveyors who do that are the ones that are not getting paid and pushing a biased opinion to push an agenda or whatever. They found something that usually goes down and does what he says is done. But when it's 1 foot above the original benchmark, they throw that out and never mention it. You ever heard this guy mention the crosshair being above the benchmark? I haven't. Was I heard?
Yeah, you're
Yep.
coming in clear.
Yeah, they never talk about concave earth measurements. They always talk about the ones that are below the original benchmark, which points towards their biased religion of being on a sphere. It's funny. It's weird. It's like, why don't you mention it, brother? You don't think it happens?
No, of course it happens.
Well, then what do you do with that measurement?
You put it in with all the other ones.
And you what? So you think it's concave sometimes?
Sometimes the result comes back concave. You take a bunch of measurements
Okay.
and you do your best to eliminate the
Who's talking
refraction.
right now? Oh, yeah.
Pfinky.
Thank you, brother. Sorry, I thought I was like, there's no way it's that troll from earlier. He would never say that, Pfinky. Thank you for saying it, and that's the truth. That's why we don't use it for accuracy, and that's why I would never base my worldview on sometimes it being concave, and most of the time it being a sphere, and sometimes it being a planar Earth. I would never base my worldview on that. That's ridiculous to do.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't if you said we're going to go take one measurement and then we're all going to agree that whatever that comes back, that's the answer. I wouldn't either. But like the surveyors have over the years have figured out how to take enough measurements and ensure that they're getting
No, they haven't,
results.
bro. You're putting too much faith in man. Go talk to surveyors. They've never, ever, none that I've talked to anyway. That's why I'm saying never, ever. None of them that I've talked to, probably up to 50 now, like unbiased people off the street, surveyors that I don't pay, don't work with, don't know. Hey, man, have you ever measured curving water? They're like, first of all, their answer is like, what? What are you talking about? Some of them say water doesn't curve. I had a surveyor in a group of 30 men and women tell me he lives on a sphere where the water doesn't curve. The people are, I don't want to say ignorant of the fact, but like, you know what I'm saying? They're just brainwashed into the point where they know they live on a sphere, but never have measured it, like never have proven it to themselves other than reading it in a book of an authority figure and going, yep, it agrees with me. I like it. I'm comfortable with it.
What proof is that? Like, what proof is that, though? You talked to 50 surveyors and asked them if they care about flat or globe enough to go out and measure curve on water.
No, I didn't ask him anything. I didn't ask him anything about flat or curve. I didn't ask him anything about flat Earth.
Right, but why would the average person go out? Why would the average person go out and measure curve on water?
Yeah, have you ever done that in your career, in your lifetime? Have you ever been paid to do that? If I hired you right now, right, to make a pier that's 1 foot off the water at the land, right, and I wanted to make it a mile long into the middle of the lake, what tool and method would you do that? And all of them say I would just measure up from the water. I said, okay, would that be a horizontal line or a curved line? And I'm like, what are you talking about? It'd be a horizontal line. Well, wait a minute. Because they don't know, bro. They don't know the curvature of the earth. They don't know the formulas like y'all do. They don't even think about it. And they'll react because they know in their mind it makes sense that it would be a horizontal line because we use water level to make horizontal lines. Don't you get it?
I mean, I don't think we use water level to make horizontal lines. It's
Yes,
it's just
we
a
do.
weird. It's like a weird proof. I mean, most people don't care about it. So when they
No,
get
but we
sprung on
do.
by it-
Why did you
Hey,
say we don't use
dude,
water
don't
to make a
interrupt.
horizontal
Stop
line?
interrupting, dude. Stop interrupting. Most people don't. They don't think about this all day like you and I do. So they're not going to have gone out. And when you come up to them and spring it on them, it's like it's a little bit unfair, don't you think?
No, I think it's very true. Like it's the most unbiased answer you can get. What are you talking about? It's going to be a
Dave,
horizontal
he
line.
doesn't know what a water level is.
Yeah, you just said you don't use water level
No,
tools
if
to
you
make
knew
horizontal
what a
lines.
water level is, you would understand the things that Dave is saying.
Yeah, it's
and
the
you would
most
agree.
accurate way to make a horizontal line, actually,
The most
and it works
accurate
around
tool.
corners. Like it has no distance requirement, and it can work around corners. Like if you take a hose full of water in your bedroom and go to your kitchen and make the same mark on the wall, you can draw a horizontal line in between those two marks. You understand what I'm saying? With a theodolite or a laser level, you can't do that.
No, I think water levels are great. I just think you continuously straw man the way
No, I
that they
don't.
use to disprove the globe.
What are you talking about? You think water level? Now you know what a water level does establish a horizontal line?
Yeah, I knew since the beginning. It was just Rob that
You
said I didn't
just
know
said they don't. That's why I interrupted you, and you said, please stop interrupting. Your statement was that water level tools don't establish a horizontal line.
Oh, I thought you were talking about we use like the ocean to establish a horizontal. I didn't know you were talking about
A water level tool. What do you think a static lake would be? Do you think if you took a hose a mile long and put water in it and put it 1 foot above the lake at the shoreline and went to the middle a mile out, it would be a different height above the lake?
I think if you put three items equal distance above water.
Can you answer my question first before we move on to another hypothetical?
Yeah. I think if you put a water level out, all three are going to show the same. Like if you measure above the height of the water, they're all going to show the same thing. But
you only need 2 points.
Welcome to flat Earth, then.
That's what the
you
globe
just said. You just said what? No, you just said water level tools establish a horizontal line, and then I asked you if water level tools are 1 foot above the lake at the shoreline and one above a mile away, and you went to 3 water levels. They would all show the same level above the lake. That's a horizontal plane, sir.
I was making a
Welcome
different
to
point.
Fluffy.
I was making a different point.
Well, you're trying to, but you're not very good at it because in one instance, you're saying a water level tool establishes a horizontal plane, and on another instance, you're saying it follows the curvature of the Earth, not a plane.
No. What I'm saying is that the globe doesn't predict that the water level is going to behave differently than what you think it's going to. So it's a bad test to try to distinguish between the two.
What are you talking about? It's a perfect test.
My test was going to be to put if you put 3 items equidistant above the water at the lake, so like one on the far shore, one in the middle, one where you're at, and then you get any type of sighting device and you try to line those 3 up, they're never going to line up.
That's a joke. And I would agree with you.
Really?
On most days, they're not going to line up.
It doesn't like you can.
Wait. So if there is a day where they line up, what then?
He would throw that out.
No, I mean, I would say if I was
that's crazy. That's crazy that you just said that, bro.
It's
You're
not
saying that you're saying that it never happens. It's like the black swan, bro. The same thing with the black swan. Oh, we never see an oil rig that far. And we see that far.
Maybe there's
That's the thing is you say that now, bro. But I guarantee if Raqia came in here with 3 objects at the same elevation off a water level, and all 3 of them were in line, and there was a picture of it, I guarantee you would move that goalpost, and it would not be good enough all of a sudden. So, like, don't make up standard. Do not make up standards you're not going to hold to if we meet that standard, dude. That's bullshit. That's BS.
I'm confident that if you set this up, you could sit there and cherry pick. Like either side could cherry pick something that they.
Then why would you use it?
Supported theirs. How would you set this up to get the actual, like over time, the actual correct result?
You make a physical horizontal plane, like the tops of stakes over 2.7 miles.
Yeah, but
using
why?
short
If
line
you put
increments and sending that short line in. You asked the question. I'm explaining it. Do you want the answer or not?
Yeah, but I'm just saying if you put three things equidistant above the water, how is that not a horizontal plane in your world?
What are you talking about? It would be a horizontal plane, but you can't sight from one end to the other. You can't be here for years and not know that, bro. It's just not possible. You're either trolling right now or what? Because you're saying when you go to the one on the far, let's say on the south, and you look towards the middle one, it's going to be lower or higher than the one on the north end. You're going to say it's going to be higher, right?
I'm just saying all three won't line up. And if you do it like over, let's say over multiple days, morning and night, you're going to find that if you go to the first location and you sight the one closest to you, the one behind it's going to be lower every time. Not every time, but over like as a rule.
If you go to the middle one and look towards the one towards your right, it's going to be lower. The one towards your left is going to be lower. But if you go to the one on the end and look to the far end, the one in the middle would have to be higher, sir.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
No, I think. Do you think it'd be a good test though? This would be a valid test. Like
No.
on a flat Earth, they should all line up. If it's a globe Earth, they wouldn't line up.
No, it would not be a good test because you're sighting over long distance. There's known problems with that. There's provable problems, even problems that you just agreed with. On some days you would get higher, some days you would get lower, and some days you wouldn't get any difference in elevation change. It's because how we see over long distance, not because if the water is curving or flat.
So just do it over like multiple days, like do 100 observations and you wait for the observations to cluster.
Yeah, only thing is, and clustering and take the cluster, like that's proof of something. All that's proof of is that the environment changes day to day and it changes the way you see over distance, not what the water is doing. Come on, bro. Y'all are not this dumb. Y'all are smart.
Would 3 points over half a mile be a short enough distance?
Marty, real quick.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know who Marty is. I don't know why you keep calling me like who's Marty?
Oh, I thought you were Marty. I thought your name was Marty.
No,
I thought you were Marty. My bad. Well, what do I call you?
Pfinky is being cool. Pfinky, or is Pfinky is typing, or he's being cool.
Let me just say,
would 3 points over half a mile be a short enough distance?
I don't know what to call you. I don't know what to call you. I'll just say it for the audience. Taking an average of apparent positions where things aren't does not mean that that's where the thing was. Actually.
Well said.
Thank you, Jeremy.
So would 3 points over half a mile be would be a short enough distance for you?
Not for me. I don't know who said that. I wouldn't use any distance over 300 feet to be accurate.
Yeah,
If you don't remember but you and I had a conversation a while back.
The actual height of the object.
I was talking first.
It was clearly that I was first, but go ahead.
Mine will be quick. Yeah, you probably don't remember, Raqia. You and I had a conversation about this a while back, and you were saying like theodolites can't see further than what it was like a half mile, and then I told you that theodolites could detect curve in as little as like 400 feet. So now you're down at like 300 feet's the max.
Well, in my area in Louisiana, we have like this time of year is not as bad. We can go above 200-300 feet. We can go to 400 or 500 feet and be just as accurate. But in the summertime, 200 feet is our max. Like if I have a 400-foot building, I set the theodolite up in the middle or the laser level or whatever we're using to be the most accurate I can, get the shortest distance from end to end, because it's affected by heat. I mean, bro, you'd be amazed.
I know that things get affected, but I feel like you could find a location that has minimal effects. There's probably a best time of year to do it, and
it's not
in a spot where you could look and consistently get a clear view and get a tight cluster of results.
It's not possible, bro. And if you want to base your whole worldview on okay. Well, I mean, whatever. You can believe whatever you want. I'm just saying, and let's say it is possible and you get this cluster. You're going to base your whole worldview based on a mean average of measurements done in the atmosphere, where if the atmosphere is doing strange things at 300 feet, if you go 1,000 feet, it's probably doing more. So your cluster is probably wrong. Like your cluster is inaccurate or doesn't give you a proof. Like, go ahead, man. Good luck. I mean, I'm all for it. I don't have any problem with you being a Glober at all.
So I just want to say something real quick. Basically, you're looking at something visually in the distance. So your first problem is that you're applying like a visual image. You're applying physicality to a visual image, which is not the case. And then second off, you're trying to say that it's statistics and you have more, like adding more visual images does, like having more of them does not confer more physicality. Like it doesn't go to like partially physical and then the more images we get, it's more physical because we have an average now. That's not, it's not how it works. You can't just conflate categories. Like it doesn't become more physical if you take more measurements, bro. This is fundamentally flawed.
I didn't say it got more physical.
What if
you're saying it's more accurate to the physical reality, which is not. Yes. No, yeah, but the problem is that's a category. That's a problem. That's a category because you're not more accurate to the physical reality. You're more accurate to the visual image, the visual representation that you see. You're not approaching physical reality by adding more measurements in.
So
yeah, the visual observation is more accurate. That was my point.
What if you take the visuals out of it and you use a GNS receiver, which you guys say is programmed with the spherical models, right? It's programmed with the geoid, it's programmed with the ellipsoid, and then it takes an orthometric measurement. What if you use a GNS receiver and you measure a lake that spans multiple miles and you just take the elevation of the shoreline and it gives you the same elevation every time? If it's
that's a complete red herring, though.
If it's programmed for Earth's spherical, then how would it? Then it wouldn't be the same elevation. You couldn't use that tool to get the same elevation because it has Earth's curvature programmed into it.
Yeah, that's a red herring, dude. The moment you use any type of GPS, we're no longer speaking about visual and theodolites. We're onto a new topic, a very complex topic, right? That's a red herring because GPS has all kinds of shit in it. It has all kinds of intricacies.
It's not a red herring because you were saying that long distance measurements, the visuals, you can't trust the visual measurements on these long distances. So we're taking the visual aspect out of it.
Yeah, but you're adding in a red herring, which is GPS. It's a whole different topic,
herring?
Whole different conversation.
If it's programmed with
are we moving to a different conversation or is it a red herring?
It's the same conversation.
Then it's a red herring. If it's the same convo, that's a red herring.
It's not a red herring because we're taking the visuals out. The person raised the problem with the visuals of using a total station over long distance because the visual errors of it. So now we're going to take the visual errors out of it. And we're going to use a GNS receiver, which has Earth's spherical shape programmed into it. So if you were to measure and get the same elevation along a lake shore over long distances, wouldn't that prove that Earth is spherical, or at least water is spherical? Because you would get different elevations otherwise.
Okay, here we go. Red herring fallacy, a logical error that occurs when irrelevant or misleading information is introduced to distract from the main argument. The main argument right now is theodolites establishing straight line segments, horizontals, what we can do with those, how it works with water level. When you bring in GPS, it is an irrelevant topic to what we're speaking on. It is by definition a red herring.
So somebody brings in water levels.
You can concede. No, that's what we were talking about since the beginning. You can concede.
Theodolites are a red herring.
That's what we were talking about since the beginning is water levels and theodolites. Stop being a deceiver and acting like you haven't.
I brought up theodolites.
Stop being a troll. Stop being a troll.
You stop being a troll.
Stop being a troll. So
stop crying and address what I raised. Stop crying and address the point I brought up.
Yeah. So if this ever happened to anyone else on this server, bro, like if this ever happened to Witsit, bro, if this ever happened to Geo, if this ever happened to Raqia, if this dude, fucking last 2 days
Are you just
demonstrated
gonna
the
cry
fucking
all day? Or are you gonna address the points I raised?
It's been 2 days to
You're gonna cry.
demonstrate the mods are definitely biased against me,
You're
bro.
crying is a red
This had
herring.
never fucking
Crying-
happened to anyone else on
Your
here.
crying is a red
No,
herring.
it's not a red herring, bro. You're trolling me as I'm still trying to get through my
Please
point, bro,
don't
and you will
interrupt,
not
guys.
stop.
Guys,
They
Noah, I'm here. I'm here,
without
Noah.
fucking
Noah,
fail
I'm here. I
continue
got
to
you. You
talk
gotta let
through
me.
me, bro.
You gotta let me take care of it, though, Noah. You gotta let me take care of it, guys. Don't interrupt. We're not doing what we did yesterday. I'm just gonna. Whoever interrupts, I'm just gonna mute you. You just be on mute until some other mod, some other time, unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I'm
Okay,
muting
so
Rob. Go ahead.
if you want to bring in GPS and you want to now shift to how the GPS, a different technology to theodolites, proves that the Earth is a globe, if you want to shift over to a whole new subject, I'm going to have to ask that you politely concede that your theodolites do not show any evidence of Earth curving. If you don't want to concede, then don't throw a red herring out and try to shift the convo to a whole new subject to distract. Thank you.
So I'm not conceding because when we use the theodolites to do visual measurements over long distance to prove that Earth is curving, like reciprocal zenith angles and stuff like that, you brought so I don't know if it was you specifically. Someone brought up the objection. Well, you can't trust it because the visuals get affected over long distance. So we're talking about surveying. So me talking about another surveying tool is not a red herring. It's making it so that the objection being raised about visuals is no longer pertinent to the discussion. We're just talking about surveying methods to detect elevation changes to see if it follows a horizontal line. So if your GNS receiver, which is not a red herring, it's a surveying tool used to establish elevations. If you use that tool to measure along the lake or shoreline, and it's telling you you have the same exact elevation every single time you get next to that water, and it is programmed with Earth's spherical shape into it, that would show that water is in fact following Earth's curvature.
Okay, snow job. So here's what it is. Either you concede that there's no visual proof with a theodolite for the globularity of Earth, or so if either you concede or that part of the topic, visual theodolites, is not done, and GPS is a red herring. Take your pick.
That was a snow job.
That was just ridiculous. So it's funny. So when we use the theodolite to do the reciprocal zenith angle test over long distance, and we see that, and you talk about the visuals are now being affected, and that's why it's not accurate. So when you don't get the results that would prove a flat Earth, that's where it's like, oh, these visuals they're no longer accurate because you're doing long distance measurements. Oh, that's what I'm hearing.
Okay, so the visuals do not prove either way, flat or round. You can either concede to that, or you can provide your evidence for why visual tools outside of their accurate operating conditions are now some sort of evidence when they actually show the contrary. They show concave Earth. So explain to us why concave Earth finding inaccurate tools outside of their range of accuracy are now somehow globe proofs. Please go ahead.
So when you do a reciprocal zenith angle test over long distances, you get an excess of 180 degrees. And that's because you're establishing that level is in fact not parallel with each other at two different locations. And if you were to compare it, so say you did this reciprocal zenith angle test at 15 miles, you would get, I forget the exact thing, but basically I think it would be, I forget the angle that it would be, or like how many minutes it would be in excess of 180 degrees. But if you did it over a longer distance, you would get a greater excess. And you can use that to calculate the circumference of the Earth by knowing the two distances between the 2 points and adding up the excess of 180 degrees. And then you can multiply that into 360 degrees to get the circumference of the Earth, and you get these consistent results.
Okay, let me just jump in real quick. Even when you do
I want to
short
jump into it at
distance
some point.
theodolite, yeah, even when you do short, okay, me, that guy, what's your name?
Pfinky.
Me, Pfinky, and then I think no was trying to get in. So, but even when you do short distance reciprocal zenith angle measurements, like the main surveyor over just 1,000 feet or 1,400 feet or however far he went, very short distances, considering you still have this visual problem, and you still have to add refraction. Otherwise, it immediately debunks the globe radius. If you do not add refraction in, you will immediately debunk the globe radius with short distance reciprocal zenith angle measurements. Thank you. Go ahead, Pfinky.
Yeah, so you should always account for refraction. I agree with that. My point was going to be about the geodetic surveys that they did. This is way before GPS. They didn't have any electronics, and they came across the United States, and they did this first order triangulation network. And the requirements for this are like 2 or 3 orders of magnitude more than your typical, like what a typical surveyor on a construction site would do. Like it's extremely, like they have to get extremely close. Right. So they would go out and they would sit at one location. They would build these 300-foot towers so they get up off of the air, to eliminate refraction. And they would camp at these spots for like weeks. At times they would plant gardens, and they would just do one single measurement over a course of weeks to make sure that they got it right, because the requirements are like it's like 1 part in a million they have to get. Now, here's the thing. People will say, oh, but they calculate in the Earth curve. It is true that they calculate it in. And the reason is because if they don't do that, it doesn't work. The triangles do not close. The networks don't close. So there are like...
Well, the funny thing... Oh, no,
it was next. I'm done.
Go ahead. Finish it up, Pfinky. All right. Go ahead, Noah. I have
Is
a
it me or
response to
Pfinky?
that. It's you. It's on you.
Okay. You want to understand, dude, we actually had an event in this server. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my memory fails me, but I don't. I remember some event. I think it was on this server with Alan, Shane, Beasicles, and a bunch of data, essentially from surveyors, land surveyors, that showed that they weren't actually getting any spherical excess, that they were getting roughly 180 degrees in their triangles. And matter of fact, there were some times when the triangles had less than 180 degrees. So I don't know if I agree with your premise. Like, your premise is that we keep getting this spherical excess, therefore on a sphere. I don't agree with your premise. From what I've seen, we've had a whole event where it was us going over the data, and it specifically wasn't that. Specifically wasn't 180 degrees or more. So thank you.
We've actually gone over that 900-page document in depth, and come to find out, there's not actually a single measurement of a spherical triangle in the whole 900-page document. They're all averages, weighted means. There is no actual measurement of one spherical triangle.
But it's been part because when you survey, you have to survey in straight lines. So you make a triangle above the Earth, then you have to reduce the triangle down to the Earth. And the Earth being curved, when they reduce the triangle, they basically have to kind of like take a little bit from each corner to basically get it to sit down on the Earth. If they don't do that,
we know how it's done.
Get the right answer.
We know how it's done, but you didn't address what I said. There isn't a single spherical triangle measurement in that whole paper.
You won't find one because you can't, because surveying is done with straight lines. Like, you're not going to find one. But that's not.
We're not going to find a measurement because they use straight lines. That doesn't even make sense, dude. Honestly, I mean, are you hearing yourself?
Yeah, I am. It makes perfect sense. Like, why, if you're surveying up off the ground 300 feet and you're making a triangle, like a normal straight edge triangle, why would that triangle be a spherical triangle?
Because the methodology they use, you would put in the angles of the 3 angles from the 3 different triangles, and you would come up with a spherical triangle, and there would be measurements there regardless if they use straight lines or not. But there isn't any. It's all weighted mean averages.
Maybe I don't understand what the point you're making.
Well,
There's
it's
no
like where
measurements, bro.
they take like 10 measurements, observations throughout the day, different days, and then they'll average those out, and that's the number they use.
And a weighted mean, not even just an average.
Yeah, but those are still just straight line measurements. Any
That's
curve,
the way you
any curve is going to be calculated in.
Dude, the fact that it's a weighted mean is like even more dishonest. It's like
No,
when
that's
they
the way
just
you
give
do it.
weight to
That's the
whichever
way it's
ones
done.
you give weight to whichever ones confers your bias, and then you like turn down the weight for the ones that don't.
That's not what a weighted mean is, but
I know what a weighted mean is, you fucking wiener. But
is
I'm
a weighted
saying,
mean
bro, if
where
you're
you pick the one
using a
that you want?
You fucking wiener dog.
Come on, man.
I know
Insults.
what yeah,
Don't
what do you mean?
start
Come
that
on,
shit.
I'm in the middle of saying something, and this wiener
All right,
dog
okay.
can't let
You're
me
in the middle
fucking
of
say
calling
my
people
piece.
names like a child.
I can't say my piece ever on this server. It never happens. Yet I'm the biggest interrupter. Yet I'm never able to finish my piece. I'm never able to finish my piece. Yeah, well, maybe if he wasn't interrupting me, accusing me of not knowing what a weighted mean is, calling me stupid. Why don't you call him out for calling me stupid, huh, cheerleader? Because you don't want to, because you only care that it was something. Yeah, okay. All right, okay. So let me get back to it, bro. Obviously, I know what a fucking weighted mean is. I'm just saying, bro, it adds an additional layer where they can fuck with the statistics and be dishonest. That was the meaning of what I said. If that's not what you got, either you didn't hear me because you weren't listening properly, or you're just dumb and you can't keep up.
A weighted mean, you can't manipulate a weighted mean. It's just what it is.
You can manipulate any measurement. And what are you talking about?
Like, how would you manipulate a weighted mean? If I give you a bunch of numbers and I say
you would fucking put
mean.
weight on the ones. Okay, you asked me the question, but you don't. Okay, so you would put the higher weight on the ones that confirm your bias.
Okay, so how did they do that in this case? I actually don't know.
I'm not claiming it. I'm saying, bro, it gives them another layer where they can fucking like. It's an additional layer where they can rig the fucking system, right? It's an additional layer where they can cheat.
I'm almost sure, but I'm not 100% positive. But I'm pretty sure that they apply the weighted mean gets applied to the one. Like usually, there's one leg of the triangle that's like been hard measured. Like they've actually measured the distance. They're not doing like they're not measuring it using trig, and so they'd weight towards the side that's the most confident. But we could look it up and see if they. But I don't think it's like you just.
Dude, we did a whole event. There was a whole event. It was multiple hours. Shane and Alan were here, bro. Like, it was a whole event, bro. And there was no shoe bill or any of these guys who say they're surveyors and they're so brave and they're such debaters over. None of them were there for that. They were all hiding.
Real quick, Noah, real quick. I actually talked to Shoe Bill about this once I found out that there are no existing measurements of a single spherical triangle. Shoe Bill said, "Oh, I'll try to get the data from the Hall of Records or whatever," and he can't get it. They can't. A spherical triangle measurement of on an Earth scale does not exist. Their only argument is averages are measurements. That's what this comes down to.
But are you talking about the field
in a notebook somewhere? It's probably handwritten notes in a notebook somewhere.
Is that what you're looking for, Jeremy? Is like what they wrote in the notebooks?
Yeah, bring us the notebook. Bring us the field notes. At least you'd actually have the thing that you're claiming supports your argument.
On the weighted means thing, I don't think weighted means has any significance to this, observations and measuring angles. I don't think any one measurement is more important than any other measurement, that they would just average them up and see what they get.
But I think by the way, I think the notebook is a red herring, because the fact of the matter is, if you add in spherical excess and there actually isn't any, you're gonna get the wrong answer. Your triangles won't close, and you're gonna go across the country, and like it's gonna be the wrong size, the wrong measurements.
That's begging the question.
Oh, hold on, Noah. Hold on, man. I want to respond to this. It's not it's not a red herring. You guys are saying spherical triangle measurements exist, right?
But they don't.
One.
Where are
You don't
they?
have a
I'm saying they
single one.
don't. I'm saying they
Yeah,
don't.
you don't have a
exist.
single one. So I don't even know why we're talking about this when there are no measurements.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, bro, Jeremy. You're on point, dude.
No, but I'm just saying, Jeremy. I'm saying that it's an ill-formed thing to ask for. Again, I might be misunderstanding your question, but
The measurement.
we
I'm
don't
asking
measure sphere. We
for
don't
the
measure
measurement,
spherical
dude.
triangles.
What do you mean? You're claiming there's spherical excess. Yes,
Yeah,
you do. You
the
take
spherical
3
excess comes
triangles.
from
You
the
take an
spherical
angle
excess.
from each one.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Bro, the event Noah's talking about, we did that, but we've been talking about this for years. I have at least 7 days invested in talking about the spherical triangle thing, and there are no measurements of a spherical triangle.
SC says there's no such thing as a spherical triangle. Okay.
Who cares, bro? That's not. Yeah, what SE says or doesn't say doesn't. It's not really like pertinent to the actual issue that you're having with your paradigm, which is not being addressed. The fact you don't have the measurements you claim to have that gives you the proof. So therefore, you have no proof at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Maybe we don't have the field notes there. I mean, there was a lot of measurements, so it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't keep the field, like the exact notebooks. But I don't think that is a disproof one way or the other. But Jeremy, just to like,
it's not a disproof, but you're claiming it was a proof, but then you have no actual substance behind that claim.
No, like
you're saying, oh, we have a proof for the Earth. It's these measurements. We say, okay, can you show us at least one of those measurements? And you got none. So yeah, you're right. We never claimed there was a disproof. We just claimed you didn't have proof, which is being demonstrated still.
No. They camped out at spots. They measured 100 times, and then they took the average, and we have the average. If that's not good enough for you, like, I don't know.
You have the weighted average. Yeah.
Yes, we have the weighted average. Which
But
should be
an average isn't a measurement. But an average isn't a measurement, though, right?
I mean, it's an average of measurements.
Technically, an average is a measurement, but it's a measurement of statistics. It's not a measurement of real life things.
Like if I brought you one, let's say I brought you one, what would you do? Like, it wouldn't change anything.
And you would actually have the thing you're claiming to have.
Yeah, thank you. We would fucking profusely thank you for being the first Glober to ever do it.
I know, like I'm saying, maybe it doesn't exist, but I'm questioning whether if it did exist, if it would change anything. It feels like maybe it's just something where you realize
it would change something. It would change something. It would actually be you guys substantiating the claim for the first time ever in Discord history.
What about JC's observations with 35 different observations over a period of a year of measuring the elevation of a mountain?
He's got the visual thing we were talking about earlier happening. He goes one time it's here, he goes another time it's there. Taking an average of not actual positions doesn't necessarily get you closer to an actual position. It might.
So if we brought you all, this is kind of my point. If we brought you all the measurements, what are you gonna like? You're just gonna like.
Last time during the event we looked at the measurements and there was clearly non-spherical excess. It was literally vacillating from a little bit above 180 to a little bit below 180. It was never consistently above 180 like you guys claim. When we were actually during the event, bro. During the big event that was fucking televised and live, and Shane and Alan and Beasticles, and I don't know if Witzer was here, bro, but it was literally at Raqia was there. I remember Raqia was there. It was a big event. All the Globers were invited, and there was no rebuttal to the measurements that were 180 or smaller.
I didn't see it.
It was 180 or smaller, bro. It was so fun. There was a huge event. It's still on YouTube somewhere.
Big event. Here's the thing, though. The shorter
you probably were there,
measurements, the error.
I wouldn't be surprised if you were there.
Okay, let me finish. The error is going to fall on either side of the 180 on the shorter, just due to instrument error and procedural errors. But the longer distances, you don't find anything, approaching 180 or getting below 180. It's always greater than 180.
Well, that you've seen. We don't know if the measurements actually did measure lower than 180 because we don't have any measurements. So we have no idea if it measured less than 180 a couple times or something. No idea.
What Noah's talking about measurements? What were
I'll
those?
tell you, we did have the measurements.
All right, let's
We had
pull those up.
measurements of non-spherical. I think even Galatrax was there. I could be wrong.
All right,
I don't know. Me and Galatrax don't get along or whatever, but I mean, I think he was a witness for that too, bro. I mean, I'm sure Raqia was there. I'm pretty sure you were there, Jeremy. Were you
bro,
not?
let's stop living in the past. Let's go find these and pull them up so we can look at them. We get it.
Yeah, let's just ignore all the things we've done in the past and redo them every time.
Well, you can find a link. Find a link to the stream. I'll watch it again. But at this point, it's just like, trust me, bro. We totally debunked this one time.
Hey, well, when during the event we looked at the actual stuff. Right now, you're claiming there's stuff, but you're not showing it. So I'm gonna trust my memory of the event over you, who's just is empty-handed, right? Like you're coming to us empty-handed with no substance. And then I'm recalling a time when there was a whole group of people with all the substance, all the measurement, all the data. We were pouring over it. I'm going to recall that memory and probably hold to my conclusion from that memory than opposed to just taking your word for it because you're just a random guy on the internet. Thanks.
Yeah, it's just appealing to a biased event fallacy.
No, appealing to data being appealing to data being exposed in front of many witnesses. Not a fallacy.
Snow jobbing with a previous event fallacy.
It's not a snow job, bro.
Kidding.
You don't.
I'm just kidding,
let me directly address you then. If that's your problem, you have no evidence for your claim. Please support claim. If not, you don't even have an argument.
Okay, that was a snow job. I'll find some measurements. If you could find yours, it would be awesome. Jeremy, you were.
That was not a snow job, bro. That was me directly addressing the fact you don't have an argument. That's not a snow job.
Yeah, it was definitely a snow job.
Me addressing your argument is the opposite of a snow job.
I'm just teasing you, dude. I'm just teasing you. It wasn't a snow
What'd you
job.
say to me, Pfinky?
You wiener.
I was asking if you were at this event that Noah's talking about. And can we find these measurements? Because you seem, my guess is you were there, but you also don't think there's any measurements.
I have. This was not the only event that we've done this on. We've done this several days, multiple times over the years, and I don't have the link to it. However, there are no like actual measurements. I'm telling you, I even went to Shoebill and was like, "Hey, can you get us the actual measurements?" You know what I'm saying? That way we could see. Because Left Lane just said, "Oh, none of them were less than 180." Well, yeah, the average. How do we know there wasn't a measurement in there less than 180 over one of those long distance ones? We don't know because we don't have the measurements. This is terrible. If this is science, this is terrible science. We don't have the data. Is this science?
Right. Okay. So, but you get like Noah's saying there was an event where you looked at measurements and they weren't what the globe says. You're saying there weren't measurements. So like
Noah looked at. I am correct. Noah looked at the average of the measurements.
Okay.
He looked at all the weighted mean averages. That's the only thing we have to go over because there are no measurements. You can only go over the average.
I don't think that's true, bro. Either you weren't at the event or you're not remembering it, bro. Because I remember specifically all of us being like, "Oh shit, these measurements are all around 180, and actually a bunch of them are below 180." That's what I remember.
No, I know you. Well, let me tell you something. I've gone over this thing more times than longer than you've been even in this arena. And there are no measurements there. They're all weighted means. That's all you have to look at with this is weighted mean averages.
Yep, that's right.
So Jeremy, I trust Jeremy probably a little more than Noah, but I've been around Jeremy longer. So the spherical excess comes from the reciprocal zenith angles in these geodetic surveys. I can find you published reciprocal zenith angles. They aren't from the first order triangulation, but they are pretty well, I would say pretty well done. Would you accept those?
I've seen spherical excess I've seen reciprocal zenith angle measurements. And if you don't add refraction, we're right back to the first thing we were talking about with the visuals. Because if you don't add refraction in, you're going to debunk something. You know what I'm saying? Something you don't want to debunk.
I mean, should we calculate for refraction or not?
If you're calculating for it, then you're not measuring it. That's a measurement that could be done. I'll give you, it's very hard to do. However, if you want to tell me which way the light's bending and by how much, you're going to need a measurement of which way the light's bending, not just temperature, pressure, and humidity readings. That's not the end all be all for which way the light's bending. There's multiple other ways light can bend other than a refraction. So
Okay.
over long
so we
distance
should
in the
account for
atmosphere,
it, but we should account for refraction.
you
Is what you're saying. But just we should account for it by actually measuring the temperature. So if I find observations where they
no,
did
no. Oh, sorry to interrupt, but no, we should not account for refraction by measuring the temperature. That does not tell you which way the light's bending. If you want to know which way the light's bending, you need to measure the light's bending. Not something else. You can't measure temperature and tell me, oh, the light's bending this way. No, that's not how it works.
I mean, I think it is kind of how it works. Like the way light bends is fairly well understood, right?
Yeah, and the fish tank over 2 feet. We're talking about over long distances on Earth. You say you understand it, but you don't know because it's never been. That is another measurement that you never have. You never have a measurement that's claiming Earth curve whilst measuring which way the light's bending to know that it actually is in its actual position. We need, you know what we need? We need an actual position, and this would all be over with. But nobody has that. That's why I'm still here.
Okay, so basically you reject all optical observations, black swan, white swan, everything, because we can't. Nobody's ever like proven refraction.
I mean, I don't reject them. I would say the black swan is good evidence for why we shouldn't accept long distance, optical measurements.
But only because it's so like distorted and weird looking, or
no, because you have static positions that are moving. That's why you have a static position that's moving in your optical view.
It's just a picture, though. What do you mean?
And we know they're not moving, though. Or if you go one day, you can see the oil rig. You go the next day, you can't see the oil rig. You go the next day, you can see just the tip of the top of the crane. You go the next day, you can see half of the thing. Like you have static positions that are appearing to move.
Okay, to try to cut this, like I'll find these observations. We'll figure out what refraction, like if they put some refraction numbers in, and we can look at what it would be without the refraction number and with the refraction number. And my guess is even if you take out the
reciprocal zenith angles,
yeah, yep,
yeah, no. If you take out the refraction with the reciprocal zenith angles, you'll come up with a globe. You'll come with a globe, but you'll debunk the current globe radius. Like you would be happy to debunk the current globe radius as long as you can debunk us, or
yeah. I mean, at least we'd know it's not flat, and then we could say it's either the globe radius is debunked, or we need to do some better science around refraction.
But you don't know it's a globe though after doing that because you don't have an actual position. You're still back to the visual thing we started this with. Like you can't just go, dude. First of all, you can't just debunk the globe radius. Like that's not, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna throw all of mainstream science off.
I mean, like I don't know. Maybe it's different than what we said. It's changed. It's changed before. But I mean, I think refraction happens, and that's where the difference comes from. But it definitely does. Like if you go do these reciprocal zenith angles, it never comes back flat, right? I don't want to say never.
There are times it comes back. Well, I don't know about reciprocal zenith angles, but Jesse has measurements. Jesse Path of String or whatever. He has measurements that come back concave.
Like if Jesse did 100 measurements, how many of them came back concave?
Dude,
I've seen one.
I've
seen one.
That's what I'm saying. That's even if he does one measurement, that shows you that these aren't measurements. Because otherwise, one day he measured a concave Earth, and the next day he didn't. So Earth's just changing on a day-to-day basis.
I think there's outliers. This happens like any type of measurement or anything you do. There's going to be outliers. It feels weird to say like we can't deal with those outliers.
I mean, the fact that there's outliers tells you you're not getting an actual position, which means where is the actual position now? You guys are going to be the arbiter of which way light's bending, even though it's never been measured. Though I'll say you might have a good idea on which way it's bending. I'll give it to you. However, you don't know. There could be some other effect. You guys have multiple effects in your paradigm that bends light that's not refraction. Multiple things. So
I'm saying like take them out. Just take all those out. Take all those out. It still is curve. It still shows curve. So in order to deal with that, flat Earth is going to have to now inject something. Like in order to deal with that, now flat Earth's going to have to inject something that uncurves things, and that's where we get like lensing and like. So I think
but if we did that, dude, if we did that, you'd have to change your whole model. If you you can't just change the globe radius. There's so many things relying on that. It's crazy. You can't just be like, oh yeah, it was different. My bad.
I go wherever
that
the facts
changes everything.
Go. I go wherever the facts go. Maybe the radius is different. Maybe it's refraction. Maybe it's refraction. Maybe it's but
I go
I
where
feel
the
like
facts
pretty
go
safely we can say it's not flat based on observation.
Well, I mean, I hear that's your opinion, but the observations were back to the illusions, though. The optical illusions.
Well, if you say it's an illusion, then you have to show why.
Because when Jesse makes his measurement and measures concave, that has to be an illusion, right? Or is it really concave that day?
No, I'd say it's an illusion. There are outliers. Like you're not okay. Let's put it this way: if you go out and take an optical measurement,
it's an illusion, right?
Well, there's a margin of error. Like there's different factors that can affect it. I don't deny that. Some days it'll look flat, some days it'll look concave, and then most of the days it's gonna look curved. Let me go find this. I gotta bail in a sec, but I'll try to find this one I'm thinking of.
One axiom is there can be no straight line. There are no straight lines in spherical geometry, which means you're not going to have any tangents. You're not going to have any plumb lines. You're not going to have any chords, no radiuses. There's not going to be any straight. No line can be straight. There are zero straight lines, and they call a straight line a great circle route, but we're talking about an actual Euclidean straight line. Those do not exist in spherical geometry.
Yeah, I don't know. You're probably right. I would assume you could still make chords, but
no, you can't do a chord, bro. There are no chords, no radiuses, diameters, tangents, plumb lines. There's no Euclidean straight line. It's restricted to the surface of a sphere. That's why it's called spherical geometry. And you can't have any of those lines on the surface of a sphere, obviously. We had to school Bob the science guy on that one day. Good thing Scott Veach was in here. Because Bob
it's even worse than that, Jeremy. Jeremy, they're treating a three-dimensional object as if it's only two-dimensional.
Yeah, they're just going on the surface, yeah.
But it's a three-dimensional object.
The thing is, the surface isn't even two-dimensional, though, because it has constant Gaussian curvature. The surface of a sphere, I know everybody walks around saying it's 2D, but it's a non-developable surface.
It's treated.
Like
can you get to any point on the surface with
100%
with two coordinates?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What Heliarch Hero said.
You can, but that doesn't change the fact that it is absolutely a 3D. Hold on, man. You can do that, yes, but that doesn't change the fact that it is in fact 3D. Because, like I said, it has constant Gaussian curvature, and it's a non-developable surface, which means you cannot put this surface onto a plane. If you can't put something on a plane, that means it's going to have all three dimensions by default, not three-dimensional or not two-dimensional, because it has all three dimensions.
The entire object is 3D, but the
entire surface of the sphere
is 2D because you can get anywhere. You can get anywhere on the surface with two dimensions, like two coordinates.
You didn't even hear what I said, dude. You're not addressing anything I said.
What do you want me to address? That's the answer.
I think it's just a definition. I think it's a definitional
it's not
thing.
No, it's not definitional. It's if something's 2D, that means it can't have height, right? It needs to stay in the plane.
It is. Yeah.
No, you can't put the surface of a sphere in a plane because it has constant Gaussian curvature. It's
Yeah,
a
but
non-developable. You're not listening, dude. That's why
I am
you're just
listening.
waiting to talk. It's a non-developable surface. That means non-developable surface means you cannot put it in a plane. You can't.
Why are you trying to put the surface of a sphere on a plane?
Because you're saying it's 2D. If you can't put it in a plane, that means it has a third dimension to it by default.
No. The third dimension would be away from the surface.
No, dude. The third dimension is above or below the plane. It's not away
There is
from the
no
surface. That
plane.
doesn't mean
It's a
that's
sphere.
meaningless. That's meaningless, dude. Away from the surface.
Yes, that's what the third dimension means.
No, the third dimension
You're
means
like setting the ball on a plane
right.
and then saying it's three-dimensional, but that's not how that works.
No, you guys are saying this is a 2D thing, right? So it can only have two dimensions, right? Pick one. Pick two. Length, width. Are those good
X and
dimensions for
Y.
you? That's okay. X and Y. So that would lie on a plane. X and
No,
Y axis lie within a plane.
they don't have to. No.
If they don't, then you have a Z axis. If they're not in the plane, you have a Z axis, which is the third dimension, dude. I'm telling you, I didn't make this up. Do you know what a non-developable? Does anyone here know what a non-developable surface is? Or Gaussian curvature? Have you ever heard of Gaussian curvature?
I don't know what either of
Yes.
those terms mean.
Yeah,
I've
so
heard of
like
them,
I don't
but
know
I can't
why you guys are.
describe them. Yeah, it can't be flattened or stretched into without distortion.
You have to cut it.
Yes, which means it cannot lie within a plane, which means you have a third dimension there.
No.
If you had a cylinder or a cube or some other shape, I would give it to you. But a sphere just cannot be lied
So
within a plane, which means you have a third dimension.
So if you change X and Y to latitude and longitude, you can't get to anywhere on the surface of that ball.
I'm not disputing that. You can 100%. You
Then
can
it's
do what you're saying.
two-dimensional.
That does not mean two-dimensional. Two-dimensional is X and Y. We just went through this. X,
No.
Y, right?
It's two dimensions.
Are those your two dimensions, X, Y?
They can be named Bob and Frank. It doesn't matter. If you can get
Okay,
anywhere on the surface with two coordinates, then it's two-dimensional.
no,
All you're
that's not
worried
what
about is the
dimensional means.
surface. The surface does not have depth.
That is not what dimensional means. You're just I don't know where you even got that from, but dimensions are length, width, and height. X, Y, Z. Those are
Coordinates.
dimensions.
Jeremy, I looked
Those
it
are
up.
dimensions.
I looked it up in ChatGPT, and it said yes, the surface of a sphere is two-dimensional in a geometric sense. Hold on, I'm going to tell it that we think it's
No,
wrong.
in a
Let's see how it
geometric
replies.
sense. In a geometric sense, it's not. I just described all the geometry with it, and I debunked it. I debunked the last thing you GPT'd.
I know. I'm going to tell ChatGPT we think it's wrong on this one too, and see if it caves like the last time.
Ask ChatGPT what the two dimensions are. What are the two dimensions? X, Y, length, width. Which ones do you want? Because no matter which,
what are the
two
two dimensions, bro?
Did you say you put bro on end?
I did, yeah. I have to establish my dominance. The two dimensions are latitude and longitude.
Those are not dimensions.
Or polar
Those are
angle
not
and
fucking dimensions,
azimuthal
dude.
angle.
Lat long is not a dimension, bro. Dimensions are length, width, and height. Those are dimensions. So yeah, if you're redefining,
that's why I said
if you're redefining what a dimension is,
problem.
Yes, if you're redefining what a dimension is, then yes, you can make anything happen. But in the known world, dimensions are length, width, and height. That's a dimension.
That's just Cartesian.
Gaussian curvature.
I said my friend Gary said those aren't dimensions. It says that's actually a fair objection. Gary, that's you, is not totally wrong, depending on what he means by dimension, aka this is a definition problem. That's what I said earlier.
Use
Well,
polar
I mean,
angle
at
and
least they had
azimuthal
conceded.
angle.
I have a fair objection. All
He
right.
did it because there's two meanings of the word dimension. Ready? Two definitions, and then you can tell me I was right when I said it's a
Good job,
definition
Gary.
problem. Dude, that's it says there's a
Go ahead, Ed.
mathematical, hold on, there's a mathematical geometric meaning, which is the number of independent coordinates needed to specify a point on the surface. And there's also a physical spatial meaning, which is the fundamental perpendicular directions in 3D space, length, width, height. So it's a definition problem. Everybody's right.
Dude, lat long ain't a dimension. I'll fight that to the death. That's not a
Polar
dimension,
angle
dude.
and azimuthal angle. Use that instead. Or angles dimensions.
Well, this already said that they are mathematical geometric dimensions. So it's a valid definition. Oh, J.A. says dimensions in physics and geometry are the coordinates of the space in question. For a sphere, it takes two coordinates. So he's using the mathematical geometric sense, which makes sense because I think for like if you're dealing in that world, it doesn't, like the XYZ axes aren't as relevant.
So we're just not in reality anymore with this dimension thing because we all know there's three dimensions on this world: up, down,
No, hang on.
length, width, and height. So you're out of
Jeremy.
reality at this point.
Yeah, Jeremy, a coordinate is a point. Therefore, a point in Euclidean geometry is that which has no magnitude. So it can't be a dimension. It's a point. A coordinate is a point, not.
It's a coordinate system, not just a coordinate point.
Okay, the whole system works in how many dimensions?
2.
On a sphere, which has 3 dimensions.
No, a ball has 3
Keep
dimensions.
trying.
A sphere has 2.
Yeah,
a
sphere has two because you can't go.
3-dimensional object.
No, the sphere is
We're
the
treating
surface.
the surface of
2D.
said sphere with only 2 dimensions.
That's honestly your best argument is there is no volume. Like that's the best argument against this. Is there
That's the best they're
argument
gonna get.
against?
Yeah, a sphere surface has no volume.
Me,
a sphere surface has no
the best
volume.
argument against. That's the best argument against me is that there's no volume.
No,
but it still doesn't matter though,
that's the definition.
No, you can't just redefine reality, bro.
No,
dimensions
words can have two
height.
meanings. Words can have two meanings in 2 different contexts. That's not like this happens all the time.
Dimensions, and it can mean like black and white, maybe, right?
Well, I don't know about that.
No, there's limits to how far you can stretch it. Is there?
Well, I don't know. I read
really?
two. I read 2 meanings on dimension. One was mathematical geometric, and one is physical spatial. There's probably another one.
Which one do you think Jeremy meant?
I think he meant the physical spatial. Heliarch is talking about the mathematical geometric.
Correct.
All right, I'm all caught up. Thanks.
I'm talking about reality. I'm talking about
dimensions.
Okay, I said that's just Cartesian.
Gaussian curvature.
I said my friend Gary said those aren't dimensions. It says that's actually a fair objection. Gary, that's you, is not totally wrong, depending on what he means by dimension, aka this is a definition problem. That's what I said earlier.
I mean, at least they had conceded. I have a fair objection. All right.
He did it because there's 2 meanings of the word dimension. Ready? 2 definitions, and then you can tell me I was right when I said it's a definition problem. Dude, that's. It says there's a mathematical. Hold on, there's a mathematical geometric meaning, which is the number of independent coordinates needed to specify a point on the surface. And there's also a physical spatial meaning, which is the fundamental perpendicular directions in 3D space, length, width, height. So it's a definition problem. Everybody's right.
Oh, dude, lat long ain't a dimension. I'll fight that to the death. That's not a
Polar
dimension,
angle
dude.
and azimuthal angle. Use that instead. Or angles dimensions.
Well, this already said that they are mathematical geometric dimensions. So it's a valid definition. Oh, J.A. says dimensions in physics and geometry are the coordinates of the space in question. For a sphere, it takes 2 coordinates. So he's using the mathematical geometric sense, which makes sense because I think for like if you're dealing in that world, it doesn't, like the XYZ axes aren't as relevant.
So we're just not in reality anymore with this dimension thing, because we all know there's 3 dimensions on this world: up, down,
Well, hang on.
length, width, and height. So you're
Yeah,
out of
Jeremy.
reality at this point.
Yeah, Jeremy, a coordinate is a point. Therefore, a point in Euclidean geometry is that which has no magnitude. So it can't be a dimension. It's a point. A coordinate is a point, not.
It's a coordinate system, not just a coordinate point.
Okay, the whole system works in how many dimensions?
2.
On a sphere, which has 3 dimensions.
No, a ball has 3
Keep
dimensions.
trying.
A sphere has 2.
Yeah,
a
sphere has 2 because you can't go
3-dimensional object.
No, the sphere is
We're
the
treating
surface.
the surface of
2D.
said sphere with only 2 dimensions.
That's honestly your best argument, is there is no volume. Like that's the best argument against this. Is there
That's the best they're going to get.
A sphere's surface has no volume. A sphere's surface has no volume.
The best argument against that's the best argument against me, is that there's no volume.
No,
but it still doesn't matter.
That's the definition.
No, you can't just redefine reality, bro.
No,
dimensions are
words can have 2
height.
meanings. Words can have 2 meanings in 2 different contexts. That's not like this happens all the time.
Dimensions, and it can mean like black and white, maybe, right?
Well, I don't know about that.
No, there's limits to how far you can stretch it. Is there?
Well, I don't know. I read 2 meetings on dimension. One was mathematical geometric, and one is physical spatial. There's probably another one.
Which one do you think Jeremy meant?
I think he meant the physical spatial. Heliarch is talking about the mathematical geometric.
Correct.
All right, I'm all caught up. Thanks.
I'm talking about reality.
I mean, they're like, you can do XYZ axes in not reality also. And in reality, we use latitude and longitude. And you notice, like, we don't need a 3rd coordinate to get a position on Earth. We only need 2 of them.
You actually do. Hold on, man. You actually do, though. I live in Albany, or I live near Albany, and there's places where there is underground, right? You can drive under there, and there's places. I was doing Uber one day, and Uber said, "Oh, go right here." I went there. Guess where my customer wasn't? They weren't there. They were underground.
They weren't on the surface.
Yeah, they were underground. So you needed more than 2 dimensions to tell me where this person was on Earth.
They weren't on the surface, though. So you're taking it to a different place.
Yeah, but it's a good.
No,
it's a fair.
We took it to Earth.
Point.
We took it to Earth.
It's a good point.
In spherical coordinates, there's a theta theta, phi, and r. R is distance from the center of the sphere. So there is indeed 3 coordinates in spherical coordinate system.
Yeah.
Well, I think R is always fixed.
Deviation from sea level.
But the tilt would be like a degree of freedom, which would sort of be a dimension, wouldn't it not?
No, because the axis stays in the same, like where the axis is on the Earth stays the same.
Well, it has its own XYZ business about it, but then that whole business can tilt on an axis. If that's a degree of freedom, then some would say that's a dimension, but maybe that's
okay. So if the axis is the z coordinate, and then you have the x and the y coordinate coming out somewhere orthogonal to the axis of the Earth. When you convert that, it doesn't move. It stays centered. It doesn't tilt. It doesn't move. The surface of the Earth stays constant in regards to either that Euclidean coordinate system, or you could convert it to a spherical coordinate system. Either way, the tilt or the wobble wouldn't do anything.
But we do.
Let me just wrap this up. Let me just wrap this up real quick. In reality, there are 3 dimensions, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably more than that, but yeah, there's definitely
in spatial reality.
There's three spatial. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Let me just wrap this up. In 3 dimensions, in reality, there is 3 spatial dimensions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. The answer is yes. So in reality, a surface of a sphere has more than 2 dimensions.
No, not a surface. A surface is not a surface. No.
My response to
a surface is a 2-dimensional shape within a 3-dimensional geometry. What do you mean wrong? That's what a surface is defined as.
I'll let you debate with Jeremy, but I do want to make one point that is, like, when I can't remember where you said you're from, but where you live, what's your X, Y, and Z coordinates?
I have no idea.
Right, because
you can use Earth Center ECRF, and you can have those that X, Y, and Z coordinate.
Right, you definitely can
use
do that
system, right?
You definitely can. So just
because you want a shortcut, and use a latitude, longitude manifold, doesn't mean that Jeremy's incorrect.
No, I'm not saying he's incorrect. I'm just pointing out that we, like, in reality, when we talk about positions on Earth, we actually use the mathematical geometric, the 2D version a lot more than we use the XYZ. I'm not saying he's wrong. I just want to be half right. I just want to be half right. I'm fine being.
You don't want to try to get longitudinal up in here, man.
Yes, I agree.
Yo, is that Stiggy? It's Stiggy. Space Stig, you there? You guys remember Stiggy? Noah, in reality, there's 3 spatial dimensions. The surface of a sphere is a non-developable surface, which means it cannot be put into a plane, which is 2 dimensions, meaning it has to come up above or below the plane because it's a non-developable surface because that's constant positive Gaussian curvature. Right?
A plane is a type of surface. A plane is a type of surface that has no curvature to it and that goes off to infinity. There are other types
2D.
of surfaces. Yes, all surfaces are 2D. One specific type of surface that is 2D, like all other surfaces. The way we define surface in mathematics is 2-dimensional object. Like, it's actually axiomatic that a surface is 2-dimensional within mathematics.
But it's not right. It's not right, though.
It is. With mathematics, you start with your axioms and then you move out from there. If you're going to argue that a surface isn't 2-dimensional, you're arguing against me. You're not even arguing. You're arguing against an axiom of mathematics. You're arguing against the meaning of the word.
In spherical geometry, you'd be correct. In spherical geometry, you'd be correct, but not in.
You're about to get slow roasted, Noah.
Sorry.
Right, Noah?
I appreciate
You agree?
me trying to come
I didn't even hear. I didn't even
I really
hear
appreciate that
what you
shit.
said, Zanuck.
That's really a
I
gentleman's
said
way to be.
in spherical geometry, you would be correct.
Can you guys hear
No, in
Don?
No,
Guys, relax, man.
y'all not hear
in all
me? Like
geometry,
seriously.
No.
what a
In
surface is
reality,
axiomatic.
we have X, Y, Z coordinates.
I
The
don't know.
surface
Who's
can be referenced to every point in those 3D coordinates. Why are you arguing against Jeremy when you agreed with him? You agree. Reality has X, Y, Z coordinates, 3D space. That surface that you want to simplify with 2 dimensions exists with 3. You can be more elaborate. You can be more detailed. But you're trying to pretend that the shortcut is the end all be all.
Only in spherical geometry, because in planar geometry, a sphere, if you want to give me a coordinate for the North Pole, Noah, and give me a coordinate for the equator, and then 190 degrees opposed to that, I'd be really interested to see what that coordinate system would look like if you claim it'll be 2-dimensional, which it's not. In spherical geometry, it is, but not in planar geometry.
No, in all geometries, surfaces are all 2-dimensional.
You give me the 2 dimensions.
Surface is a 2-dimensional object. It has 2 sets
give
of
me
coordinates.
Give me the dimensions. Give me the
to
position.
locate anything. Dude.
I'm waiting.
That's not allowed on this server. You're not allowed to treat me.
All right,
like
guys,
that, bro.
please don't
No, I'm
interrupt,
saying
guys.
give me a
You're not allowed
coordinate.
to treat me like that.
Noah. I'm
Give me
getting
the
mad
North
at Noah.
Pole. Give me the North
Please
Pole
don't
coordinate.
interrupt, guys. Zanuck,
Give me
let him finish, dude.
Oh my god.
Zanuck, I'm gonna just mute you, bro. I'm gonna leave you on mute, bro. You gotta let
Why?
Noah
I
finish.
just was asking a question.
But he's in the middle of a sentence, though.
Nah, I wasn't even.
He wasn't really.
So yeah.
Oh, he wasn't in the middle of a sentence. You weren't in the middle of a sentence,
dude. You know what? I'm gonna take
Noah,
30
you're just
for
not
my own
taking it to the
patience.
extent. Zanuck gave you a distinction
Don't fucking
between
address me
planar
when
and
I'm saying
spherical
I'm taking fucking 30 seconds. Don't address me, bro. I just said I'm fucking taking 30 seconds for my own patience. Do not fucking spit my name out of your mouth, bro. Don't fucking call me back when I'm trying to fucking relax and not get fucking heated.
Bless you, nice
Don't fucking
gentlemen.
do that,
all right,
bro.
let's just let Noah chill, guys. Let's just let Noah
Yeah,
chill.
bro,
And don't
dude, you
interrupt.
guys are fucking consistently disrespecting and interrupting me, bro. And then I say, you know what? I'm just taking.
It's brutal, I know.
Because these guys are pissing me off, and then they start saying my name and calling me out, bro. Fuck you.
You bullied. I tried to get in with y'all. You kept bullying through to repeat yourself, man. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, let me know when I can ask my question to back up your claim.
Just ask it when someone's not talking.
That's why I thought there was. Every time we stopped, I started talking, then he started talking over. It's okay. It's a little timing
You're
thing.
You're a liar. Stop fucking talking about me and slandering me, you fucking liar.
I'm really trying to ask a question. Every time I started talking, we were crashing. I'm not saying whose fault it was. It just seemed like weird.
Slandering me and mentioning me, you fucking liar.
Okay, so if what you say is true, if it's 2-dimensional, can you give me the coordinates? Give me an example of what the coordinates would be in any kind of units you want to make up, any kind of scale you want for the North Pole and 2 points on the equator. What would those coordinates look like?
What coordinate system do you want them in?
Any coordinate system you want, but I want to know how it looks in 2 dimensions. You're only using 2 dimensions.
Okay.
How do you give me a North Pole and two positions on the equator? Give me any numbers, alphabet, whatever you want to use. Give me an example, because if what you say is true, you should be able to do it.
Okay, so you're okay.
Come on, man. Let Noah respond, guys.
Yeah, if we just
latitude, sit down.
I give up.
Latitude. That's
Who's
what we
that
have.
in the background there? Stop it.
I'm
This is
so
the most
sorry. No, I'm
disrespectful
so sorry.
server to me. I've been just disrespected for 2 days straight, bro.
I know. No, I'm sorry,
please.
man. It's
Go ahead,
just tough. This is tough to mod, man. All right, Don, please.
sorry.
You can go next, Don. Go ahead, Noah.
Okay, so if you want it in a 2-dimensional coordinate system, we can define the surface as the surface of Earth. Okay, so we have a 2-dimensional sheet in the shape of a sphere. So a 2-dimensional object existing in 3 dimensions, the surface of the Earth. If you want the 3 coordinates, we'll just say that we're going to use the prime meridian as our 0. We're going to use a coordinate theta It's going to be 0 for all three coordinates, and we're going to use the coordinate phi, which is going to be number of degrees away from the North Pole. So the North Pole would be phi 0, theta 0. The equator on the prime
You said three?
meridian. The equator.
Did I hear you
It's been 3
correctly
days.
when you said all three?
It's been 3 days of disrespect, bro. It's been 3 days of absolute disrespect to me, dude.
I know. We're gonna let you
The
finish.
people on this
Hold
server
on.
have been disrespecting me to the fucking highest for 3 days. I'm tired.
Noah, that was
He
my
didn't hear
bad
it, I
right
don't
there.
think.
Hold on, guys. That was my bad, Noah. Go ahead, please. Finish it up. That was dope. I was like your hype man right there.
Thank you. Okay, so North Pole, you'd have the coordinate. Theta is 0, phi is 0. Prime meridian equator, your coordinate would be for phi you have 90 degrees, for theta you have 0 degrees, and then for the South Pole, for phi you have 180 degrees, for theta you have 0 degrees. Help you out, Zanuck.
No. Yeah, I had 2 points in the equator. Hold on. 2 points in the equator. You gave me North Pole perfect, equator perfect, South Pole perfect. I said 2 points in the equator and the North Pole. Please give me those coordinates using 2D.
Okay. So on the opposite side of the equator. So
He didn't hear it, I don't think.
Hold on, guys. That was my bad, Noah. Go ahead, please. Finish it up. That was dope. I was like your hype man right there.
Thank you. Okay, so North Pole, you'd have the coordinate. Theta is 0, phi is 0. Prime meridian equator, your coordinate would be for phi you have 90 degrees, for theta you have 0 degrees, and then for the South Pole, for phi you have 180 degrees, for theta you have 0 degrees. Help you out, Zanuck.
No. Yeah, I had 2 points in the equator. Hold on. 2 points in the equator. You gave me North Pole perfect, equator perfect, South Pole perfect. I said 2 points in the equator and the North Pole. Please give me those coordinates using 2D.
Okay. So on the opposite side of the equator. So I've already given you the coordinates. I already give you the coordinates for prime meridian passing through the equator for that cross section. I'm going to repeat the coordinates for that. So the coordinates for that are 90 degrees phi, 0 degrees theta. Now, if you would like to go to the opposite side of the globe, the exact opposite
90 degrees
side,
opposed.
Yes, no, 180 is opposite.
No, I
90
don't
is
want to do that. I want to do 9. I don't want to do that. I want to do like 90 degree opposed or something other than the 180 degree opposed.
Okay. If you want to do 90 degrees, so your theta, so if you want to do like an orthogonal line passing through the center of the globe that goes orthogonally to the line that passes through the prime meridian, the cross section of the meridian and the equator, and then passes through the point in the middle of the globe. If you want an orthogonal line that also passes through that center line in the globe, that center point in the globe, your coordinates would be phi is 90 degrees, theta is 90 degrees.
At 90, that goes to 360 then, Noah? You went from 0 to 90 on the meridian. And then what, if you go to the opposite, is it minus 90? Is it 180? Is it 360 all the way around? And did I hear you correctly when you said it would be 0 for all three coordinates when you first started speaking? Did you mean to say 2?
No, if they're all on the prime meridian, their theta would be 0.
So these
are no, you meant to say all three. You said it would be 0 for all three coordinates.
You did.
Yeah, that is what I said. Yeah, the theta would be 0 for all three coordinates. Yes.
You mean for all 3 points? You mean for all 3 points? Because if 1 point has 3 coordinates, we're now in 3D, aren't we?
Bro.
Yeah, I think he meant 3 points on the globe.
No, there's two coordinates. There's 2 coordinates for each point in a surface, because a surface can be described with 2 coordinates. 2 coordinates is 2 dimensions. When you have 3 coordinates, that's 3 dimensions. When you have 1 coordinate, that's 1 dimension. When you have 4 coordinates, that's 4 dimensions. When you have a surface, all the points along the surface can be expressed with only 2 coordinates, thus making it a 2-dimensional object. This is fundamental.
Jeremy
This is a
talking about
fundamental.
reality.
This is just fucking off the fucking
Yeah,
chart
I gotta
disrespect,
mute.
bro. Like, can
Dom,
you
I gotta
imagine if
mute
this
you, man.
happened to Witsit? If this
Yeah.
happened to fucking,
It happens
if this
to all of
happened,
us,
if this
Noah.
happened to J
Noah.
Ace, if this happened to J Ace, man. I mean, come on.
I think
No,
Don
it
was trying to
happens to
say
all
like
of us,
a.
dude.
It's just like a roof, like a dog.
No, it happens. Seriously, no, it happens to all of us, bro. Come on, man. We try our best. I'm at work.
Even like yesterday, J Ace, somebody kept yelling "snow job" every time he would talk. So it does happen to him too sometimes.
Yeah, he kept snow blowing
I
him.
can't remember who that was.
He kept snow blowing him.
See, the demons want to misrepresent what happened. What happened was I would go to say something, and then J Ace would talk through and not let me finish my point. Every time I interjected, it would be a small, less than a second interjection, and then J Ace would continue. So it would be a 2-minute monologue of J Ace with maybe like 2 or 3 1-second interjections from me, and then 15 seconds of me talking, and then J Ace just absolutely rolling me and not letting me actually make my point. You see,
Look,
I let him make his point, even though there's a difference between an interruption and an interjection. An interjection is where the person is able to continue speaking. That's what I was doing. What he was doing was an interruption, and you guys are miscategorizing it, misinterpreting it on purpose because you're demonic. You don't care about the truth. You have no love for the truth. You just care because you want to rub the pie in people's face and feel right. You love your ego. You love the competition. That's the problem here.
Now, genuinely curious, do you think that was a succinct explanation?
It took less than 30 seconds, which cannot be said the same.
Probably
for my
closer to a
opponent.
minute than 30 seconds.
I was going to expand on it a little bit. So
that was 30 seconds. Get your timer out next time.
You don't want to answer the question? Okay.
Like, it could have been longer, though.
Did you time it over 30 seconds, or are you just saying shit out of your mouth?
I didn't mention anything about the exact time length. I just asked if you thought that was a succinct explanation.
You just said it was
or
closer
if you would
to
agree
a
with
minute.
us that was a ramble about meta and no one's interested. No one's interested.
That's a lie. Okay, so now no, you are interested because you're sneaking in the background and lying.
Flip another direction other than maybe God did it or space magic.
The description.
Us not having an explanation doesn't make you right.
That's right.
Fallacious
Can you coincide and debunk my dumbness? And I mean this like sincerely. If the moon is in the sky where I am all night, and then through half of the day, does the other half of the Earth not get the moon?
Yes. I mean,
if I got the moon 75% of the day, does that mean the antipode to me they have it 25%?
Yes. Yes, it just works the same way as the sun.
Sure. Yeah, I have a question for Noah, and then I got to go. If I'm looking at a glass and it has a fish in it, and I'm looking at the fish, am I looking at an actual fish or am I looking at an image of a fish?
Yeah, you're looking at a distorted image of where the fish isn't.
Okay, so I'm not looking. The fish isn't. It's not an actual fish. I'm looking at an image of a fish. All right.
Yeah, if you shoot a gun or a bow and arrow at where the image of the fish is, you will miss. This is well known by primitive Native Americans who never even knew how to write or make metal. They didn't have writing, they didn't have metal, yet they understood that you have to aim below the image of they understood that below the image of the fish is where the actual physical fish is. Something you guys don't seem to understand.
Yeah, so there is a physical fish.
Is the moon? Where's the moon at night?
You can have an image. Wait, you can have images without a physical thing, though. Because Shrek is not a physical thing, and there's images of him. So that is a non-argument, right?
Yeah, but that does not eliminate the existence of a moon.
No one said it's eliminating.
I saw.
See, all we've been doing is trying to get you to stick to your own model, and you guys kick and scream. It's just a real demonstration of your guys' dishonesty. That's all that's been happening.
No, we want to hear more about the mirror.
It's been me,
computer
you
screen
guys, your own paradigm, and you guys kicking and screaming and crying about your own paradigm. That's what this whole thing is.
We say just like the fish is real, just like we say the fish is real, the moon is also real. And we
okay, but that there's a problem.
It's a physical object that exists. My turn.
Okay, so you don't want
my turn.
The other guy doesn't want a rebuttal. See, but the thing is, it's not your turn because the other guy directly addressed me, not you, right?
No, I yield.
So
I yield to Pasta. I yield to Pastafarian.
Okay, Pasta, then me. Then go ahead, Pasta. Your guy doesn't want a rebuttal.
There is a refraction. My turn. I'm sorry. I'm joking. Just because there is a refraction where an object has where its light is reflected and giving another position where it actually doesn't mean that there's no physical object. It doesn't mean that what we're seeing is an image of something that might not be something physically. It doesn't even exist there. The moon very much exists. Regardless if you think it, regardless if you have a misconception of where it's positioned exactly.
Okay, so the thing is, having an image does not prove there's a physical thing.
Oh my God!
Behind the image, this is directly evidenced by Shrek, who does not exist in three-dimensional space. He does not exist in the real world.
Yeah, because he's imaginary. It's a fictional character.
There are images without three-dimensional counterparts that they're based off of. This is the case. So having an image does not prove a three-dimensional body behind it. Therefore, you're still at step one, trying to prove the physicality and location of the moon. You have not done yet. All you have is an image. Image doesn't confer reality or physicality to anything. If it does, Shrek's real. So you have to pick one. Either it proves that the moon's there and Shrek is somewhere on Earth running around, or it doesn't prove that the moon is there and Shrek isn't running around the world. You can't have both.
Are airplane images, airplanes that you see in the sky?
I think
see how he dishonestly can't actually address what's being told to him? That having an image of something doesn't confer its reality.
Oh my God!
See how he can't actually address
it?
Where is the moon?
I think a rebuttal to this is much simpler than saying something about airplanes. It's just the fact that we don't have LED screens in the sky. Like, they don't tend to
it looks like it is. What is it? Is different. Someone's talking.
We see a visual image. We know
a visual image. The sun if the sun is a visual image, how come my turn?
That was definitely not enough of a point for you to even come in and rebut anything. There couldn't have even been a fallacy.
The sun has sunspots.
The
sun has moving sunspots that can be confirmed from different parts of the planet using a microscope.
You don't even have enough to go off of to rebut. You don't have anything. You're just making noise out of your face because you don't want to hear me. All right, you're a coward. You're a coward.
I love you too, honey bunny.
Hear you.
I mean, you definitely don't. You're afraid of me.
So
afraid of what I have to
apparently
say.
the moon is not rising until 1:43 a.m. here. What is happening? What?
It's on the it can be two things. One of it can be that it's on the other side of the planet. So that would make 100% sense why you're not seeing it. The other reason why you're not seeing it is because it's not being lit by the sun. If it's not lit by the sun, then you really can't see it because space is very dark.
I checked time of day. It says the altitude is minus 47 degrees.
That's the globe.
Okay, so we have here's where we are at in the point of the argumentation. Minus the demon fucking noise. Okay, here's we're gonna do a little. We're gonna do it's clear, bro. Clearly, you could hear me talk. Clearly, you could hear me talking, and you're just clearly, blatantly ruining the VC for everyone. Okay, so here's where we are at in the argumentation. We all agree and recognize that there is a visual image of the moon in the sky. We all agree and recognize that There are
No,
images that
we do not
exist
all agree and recognize that it is an
so
image.
this is
That's not what
clear.
we
This
all
is
recognize
another
at all.
clear example of how this guy's a coward, because every time I go to speak, he can't actually he can't actually hear what I'm saying.
Because you're building a straw
This is
man. You're
coward,
building a straw man. You're wasting
Yo,
everyone's
you guys
time,
haven't.
dude.
Hold on, man. Yo, hold on, Noah. You guys have not let Noah finish his sentence since I got off my phone call. All right, I'm just gonna mute people, and you just be on mute if you can't handle this.
Okay, so we all agree that we're seeing a visual image in the sky of the moon. Some of us are saying, no, okay, if it's me and people who are supporting the mainstream globe theory, not people with their own globe model, but the actual globe model purported by the mainstream, between me and that group of people, we have to all agree that we're seeing a visual image of the moon in the sky.
You said this like 12 times already. Get to the
Because every
point.
time I get to the crux of what I'm saying, you blatantly and disrespectfully interrupt
You're
me, just like you did
monologuing,
right
dude.
now.
You've been at it for
No,
like
it's
20
not.
minutes.
It's not a monologue, because I have not gotten through one single point without being interrupted. So it can't possibly be a monologue given two people speaking. A monologue is one speaker. Anyways, so between me and the mainstream globe model, we both have an agreement. There's a fact here. The fact is that what we're looking at in the sky is an image of the moon that is not actually where the moon is located. That's a fact. Nobody disagrees with this as far as the mainstream globe paradigm goes. Now, the second fact is that we agree on is that images can exist without a three-dimensional corresponding object in physicality. That is not just a fact with the mainstream globers, but a fact amongst all reasonable men all reasonable men know that you can have an image of something that doesn't exist physically. Given those two facts, the syllogism is we have an image of the moon in the sky. We know that images do not always correspond to a three-dimensional object. Therefore, we know that the image of the moon in the sky may or may not correspond to a physical object. You guys have the burden of proof to now bring forth and cite a new additional piece of evidence to solidify its physicality. Having an image of something does not mutually exclusively prove its physicality. Thank you so much, Darren.
I don't understand bringing up the first point, because if you're going to go off what the model says, it also says that it's just slightly off the real physical object in the approximate location, right? So there's no point even bringing up the first point if you're just going to say the second one.
The first point is to get a hostile admission. The hostile admission is that we are looking at a visual image of the moon. That's a fact. Now, the second part of the syllogism, the second premise is that visual images do not confer physical reality. Like having an image of something doesn't mean there's a physical reality behind it, that it was a picture, it's an image of. Those two premises combining logically, give you the conclusion that the moon we see in the sky by itself, just looking up in the sky and seeing a moon, does not prove logically, deductively, that there is a physical object projecting that image. This is just basic logic.
I second the motion.
There could be, but if there was, for a reasonable man to believe it, you must then there bring forth a second piece of evidence that is mutually exclusive to having the moon be physical. Thank you so much.
Second.
Can you give me an example of anything we see that isn't an image? Like, it's just a null point. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no point of saying the first point.
A mirage.
So, you
What?
know
A
that if you
mirage
look at
has
the
an
moon,
image.
if you look at the moon, you can see that the moon has like different spots. It has dark areas. It has brighter areas. So if you look at it from your perspective, you would see it looking a certain way. If you look at it from a different part of the world, you will see that those gray spots and dark spots are not in the same place as others are seeing it. The moon has almost rotated, even though everyone is seeing it from the same, everyone's seeing it at the same time. You will see that the moon looks a little bit different. And from
If
the
I'm
southern
looking at a mirror
hemisphere,
and you're rotated, it's going to be rotated in the mirror. Steelman.
yeah, but
It's
it's
not
not going to be
physically there.
it's not going to be inverted.
Yes, it
Well,
will.
I have an example that refutes that, or not. Doesn't refute that, but refutes the line of logic you're implying based on that. There are
Yeah,
images.
but it breaks your premise. It does break your premise.
No, it doesn't.
Because those
Okay,
are unique sightings that
you're
gives you a different
interrupting my
perspective
rebuttal. You're
depending on from where
interrupting
you're
my
actually seeing
rebuttal.
it.
You
Everyone
can't
is
address
seeing
my
the
rebuttal
same
if it
image.
hasn't been said yet. You made your point. I'm going to rebut it. You can't address my rebuttal before I made it.
No, he's ignoring mine. He's ignoring. He actually lied on my example and said, if I'm upside down from you, it's going to look the same in the mirror. That's bullshit. You're going to see that shit opposite from me.
Okay, can I rebut it though?
Sorry, no. You. Thanks for letting me get in a little bit. Thank you. No, I'm sorry.
No, you go. You finish up, and then I want to rebut it after you.
So if we're laying head to head, toes straight away from each other, and there's a mirror above us, are you saying that it's going to look identical top to top and bottom to bottom? No, it's going to be fucking blessed inverted. Why? What's this weak ass argument you're coming with, Glover? What is this?
Well, I also would like to cite that having an image, like an image that you look at, and then as you walk to the other side, you're seeing like a different side of the image or whatever, is not mutually exclusive to physical objects. There's such a thing as holograms that exist. So like the existence of a hologram right off the bat destroys your destroys your claim of exclusivity that walking around an so your claim of exclusivity is destroyed by hologram's existence. Thank you very much.
Boom, we gave you mirages.
Okay, so is there a hologram that works for the sky where people can be thousands of kilometers apart from each other and still see the same moon, but differently shifted and oriented in the sky? We're talking about thousands of kilometers from each other. And the moon has the same angular size regardless of where you are in the planet. So it's not like we're seeing like another moon. It's the same one with the same patterns, but only that the orientation has shifted. Thousands of kilometers apart.
Shifting the burden. We all agree
the
that
burden. You proposed that it could be a hologram that breaks that. And I'm asking you, is that possible?
Your point is finished.
Where people are viewing it from different
This is
parts
dishonest,
of the
bro.
planet,
Your point was finished.
From each other.
Your point was finished, bro. You finished your point, and then I began to give my rebuttal, and then you fucking blatantly interrupt the rebuttal, bro. What is this? Okay, so we're still at the same point. We all agree that we're looking at a visual image of the moon in the sky.
You said it 30 times, dude. Get to the point.
Dude, I would.
Hold on. Who was it? The Pastafarian guy? Was that the guy?
Soda Pfinky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're looking at a visual image of the moon in the sky, right? We're looking at it, and we know that visual images are not mutually exclusive to being a projection of some existent physical object. You then cited, no, it exclusively must be a projection of a real physical object because I can walk or I guess fly or travel to a different angle, a different perspective and see a different angle on this image. So you made a claim of exclusivity. Then I immediately brought up an example of an image where you can go from one orientation or one place, move to the other side and see a different side of the image. And yet that image is not a projection of a real physical 3D thing. So your exclusivity, your claim of exclusivity was destroyed immediately. So you're now back to square one where you still need to provide a mutually exclusive evidence that there's a physical moon that is projecting projecting the image we're seeing. Thank you very much.
Can I join the conversation? Because I think I have a counter argument. Do you think that holograms can obstruct objects behind them? Because we know that the moon can obstruct whatever is behind it, whether it's a planet or a star.
What?
Again, like when you observe a star and it goes behind the moon, it disappears behind the moon, and holograms aren't really don't really look like solid objects. They are transparent, and the moon isn't really transparent.
Right, but your question is like it implies a begging of the question. You're implying that the stars behind the moon are now somehow physical. You would need to prove the physicality of those stars before you can even ask that question.
So you think the entire sky is like a LED screen?
No, I'm just saying it's an image. It doesn't need to be listen, I brought up a mirror, I brought up an LED screen, and I brought up holograms.
I mean,
physical objects were disproven by the three examples. I'm not saying it's any of those three examples. I'm just saying you keep coming here saying, oh no, this is the exclusive proof that it has to be a physical object. But we see examples in nature where that's not the case. So I'm not saying it's a thing. I'm defeating your exclusive claim, right? Which is what you need to pass beyond and actually show that it's physical.
Well, in order for it to be something different and work with all of these phenomena, it would have to be some of those things you mentioned, because there is no other possibility.
No, it doesn't. That's not. That's not how.
It actually
like
does,
if you make an exclusive claim to something and then I prove that it's not exclusive, it doesn't automatically have to be the thing that I said it was. What I said it was is just proving that your exclusive claim isn't valid. You're still at the point where you need to bring the exclusive evidence. You haven't brought exclusive evidence. You're trying to shift the burden into me proving that it's a hologram or a mirror or a screen when you still haven't brought in the exclusive evidence that it's something physical. You can't shift the burden. You have to actually support your thing.
At this point, I think this conversation is really pointless, because at this point we're just at the disagreement, not between what we observe, but between what is reasonable, in my opinion, thinking that there's an object that is a natural phenomenon, but at the same time is actually not itself, but just some kind of magical image that tries to emit an object, an image of an object that looks like it's real. For me, that's unreasonable. At this point, we're
mirages are unreasonable.
Mirages or not? And
mirages, paintings, TV, holograms, they're all unreasonable. Yeah. They don't exist.
Yeah, if there was a TV floating in the sky, I think that would be definitely unreasonable, especially if it was floating there before TVs were invented.
Images like mirages, images of things existing independent of a physical object existing in which they're based upon. You think that's unreasonable. I think you're unreasonable if you hold that position.
A mirage is an image. It's a virtual image of something that actually physically exists.
There is no water in the desert.
But the water is an image of the sky. It only looks like water because it's blue.
Yes, you're seeing an image of water, yet there is no physical water behind it. You're seeing an image of Shrek on the screen, yet there's no image. There's no actual physical Shrek.
Yeah, and now you're.
And even in the mirror, you're seeing a second. In a mirror, you're seeing a second you, yet there is no second you that actually physically exists. In a hologram, let's say there's a hologram of a frog. You don't even need a physical. You can just design a new species of frog that's never been seen before. Project a hologram of it. There's no physical version of the frog that's based upon. These are all examples that absolutely destroy your exclusivity claim. You need a non-destroyed exclusivity claim to thus say that it's physical. You haven't provided it. It's still your turn to provide the proof. We need exclusive proof, bro. You can't shift it off to prove the sky's a TV screen.
Oh, come on, man.
But you're only proving my point. My point was basically that you have to, in order to make this work, you would have to make the moon work like some kind of machine, a device that the purpose of is to emit an image of something that looks real. And The only examples that are actually analogous here are the examples of what I just said. They are an example of a hologram, they are an example of LED screen showing Shrek, because there is simply no natural phenomenon that would account for something like this. It has to be a device that was constructed by someone intelligent in order for the purpose of creating this image, to make people think that this image is something that they see. The only natural phenomenon in your example was a mirage, and a mirage doesn't actually work because it's not an image of water, it's an image of the sky, which is blue, and that's why it looks like water. And
so yeah, none of your so here's the thing. You made an exclusive claim. You've given no evidence that is mutually exclusive to a physical object existing. And now, instead of actually just giving us that evidence, you're theorizing based on the examples that destroys your exclusivity claim. You're not even making a point. It's a non-point. You're running from the argument. Please give us a exclusive evidence that the moon is physical. Just looking at its visual, properties of something does not prove its physicality. There's no second you in the mirror. There's no second you when you look at your reflection.
But there's you.
There isn't a second physical you.
Yeah, but there's you. But there
isn't a second physical you. So your physical you and you can't, and the other you can't exist at the same time.
Oh, okay. Where's the moon? Where's the real moon in that case?
That's your claim. That's your claim that there's a physical moon. Please give us Please give us the evidence for a physical moon.
Yeah, again, the reason why I don't want to entertain this argument anymore is because when you move to a realm of accepting explanations which are basically a divine intervention that is designed to trick you, you're
this is a
moving
this
into the realm.
is a snowdrop.
Let him finish.
You were
Let him
complaining.
finish.
Yeah. You were complaining about interrupting you, and now you're doing the same thing when I'm exposing you. When you move into the realm of accepting unfalsifiable explanations that are basically divine intervention designed to trick you into thinking something, then you're basically moving into realm of unfalsifiability, because you can make an explanation like this for literally anything, therefore basically eliminating our possibility of knowing anything.
Can I get 5 and then you go risk?
Let me just give you an example. Like, let's say let's say you're looking at your hand, right? You could make theoretically an explanation that your hand only appears there when there's someone looking at your hand, because that's technically the only way, the only moment when you see an image of it and can confirm its existence. And when you feel something with your hand, that's actually an illusion that is being projected by a god into your brain. Like, you technically cannot refute that. That's an explanation, and then you're like basically shifting the burden of proof. Prove that this isn't the case. That's basically what it sounds to me. When you're moving into the realm of those ridiculous supernatural explanations that are basically deliberate deception, at this point you cannot prove anything, because you can make up such explanation for literally anything, and therefore we cannot know anything in your paradigm.
So, do you have the exclusive evidence that there is a physical moon? Having an image or visually seeing the moon is not exclusive evidence. Do you have exclusive evidence of its physicality? If you do, please provide it. What you just went on
You've asked this,
was not...
you've already asked this
you
about
just
4 or 5 times, dude. I don't know. Do you want to try a different angle?
What you just... Yeah, just give me 5 seconds, Risky, and I'll be done. What you just provided was not evidence the physicality of the moon.
Moon rocks.
Having a visual, what you just presented was not mutually exclusive evidence to the physicality of the moon. That was just a red herring bullshit meta talk. Having an image or a visual representation of the moon is not mutually exclusive evidence of the physicality of the moon. Thank you very much.
Okay.
What evidence would you accept?
It was clearly risky.
Yeah,
Huh?
like let's not worry about the evidence too much at the moment. What I sort of
Well,
want
he's
to
asking
address a
for
little bit.
evidence of the physicality of the moon, and we have lots
was
of it.
clearly
But
Risky's
what will he
turn,
accept?
bruh. Yo, it
Dude,
was clearly
I've been
Risky's
trying to
turn.
get in for like 5 minutes or something, so I don't know. What I find a little bit obnoxious, right, from the globe sort of position is that you guys have an expectation that you've imposed upon reality that when you look up at the sky, you determine that it's a rock. And then when you've come across someone in the world that says, well, maybe it's not a rock, maybe there's some other alternative propositions or, things that we could imagine that it might actually, how it be playing out. And then you say things like, well, why would it look like the rock that I've imposed as far as the interpretation is concerned? And why would someone go, like, why would the creator of the source try to trick me? The trick is the fact that you first impose the belief that it is a rock flying in the sky. And then you're kind of saying, well, why would they try to trick me? Because that's what I see and that's what I think it is. I find it rather obnoxious that essentially you guys think it's a form of trickery that's being imposed upon you when it's actually just purely your imagination and what you imagine to be going on up there. Do you get where I'm coming from, Embo? Like, it's very
No,
arrogant to think that you already know, and that like you're sitting here chatting with someone or conversing with someone about the potentiality that it could be, and you know that mirrors trick people, you know that holograms trick people, and then you referred to your hand before or something. And I just want to say that, I mean, you can touch and tangibly feel your hand. You can test it multiple different ways, and you just don't have
how,
that with the sky. You can't
how,
investigate the sky like you can investigate your hand. The comparison
how
is
do you
not
know?
relevant.
How do you know when you touch something, the impulses aren't actually projected into your brain by a god, and you're actually not touching anything? How do you know that? Prove that this isn't the case.
I mean,
What's your
theoretically, that's not
exclusive?
possible. But you're doing this
Why?
imposition upon the sky and saying that there's tangibility. You recognize that I can investigate my hand far more kind of with more depth and with many different arrays of ways of thinking about it and analysis than what I can do with the sky, right?
But potentially there's more ways, but I would say that the explanations you would have to give in order to make the moon not a physical rock, the level of absurdness and impossibleness of them is on the same level as if you were to prove that your hands aren't real. I would say the level is the same basically. It basically touches the concept
That's
of
because
God
you've imposed it on.
and that God having a motivation to trick you in some way, or at
Have
least a
you ever
supernatural
wondered
power,
what
not
you might
necessarily a God.
think it would be if you were not told that it specifically was this, perfectly, or like, it's not perfect, but the ideal size that it is proportionate to the sun at a distance away. It's a rocky surface with a powder upon it that makes it sort of luminesce. Like it almost has this sort of luminescent quality of its own. It's like a freakish looking rock powder that's able to reflect in such a way. I mean, these sorts of questions, I mean, you do recognize that these are all been imposed upon your imagination. Have you ever considered trying to sort of, I don't know,
Well,
restart, refresh, kill your darlings, essentially?
well, the moon being that it didn't come out of nowhere by people just making up that. It was a result of those observations. There was a point where people couldn't observe the moon in such quality, and then there was a point in history where they started to have this possibility. The first one was Galileo, who constructed the first telescope, and the moon having topography like mountains, it wasn't something that he imagined. It was a result of those observations. He didn't know that before, and then he observed it, and now he knew because it just simply looked like that.
I don't
I
necessarily,
don't
dude. I've
have
looked through
to.
a P1000, which I got to assume is a more powerful telescope than what he was looking through. And I mean, I get why you guys would, kind of venture for the idea that it's a rock and it's got terrain and, topography to it in appearance. But it's not necessary. And it's got some luminescent qualities to it that just don't really match up very well with that of a terrestrial body. So, I mean, I think you're kind of, what do you call it? You're ignoring a lot of the other qualities of it that make it sort of almost supernatural. Those are things like its size and proportion compared to the sun, like these sort of fantastical claims that are made by heliocentrism of like, where did the moon come from? Well, I don't know. Even heliocentrism is like basically suggesting that it's an exoplanet that came into our solar system. So where did it come from? You guys don't know either. Your only imposition is that it's a rock. And I find
The
that rather
question,
peculiar that you haven't able to sort of maybe reconsider it, given all the
I
other
would,
things that Noah was pointing out there, like mirrors, holograms, different forms of light sources. I
yeah,
mean, the sun
but
is a supernatural phenomenon, right? It's a gas giant in the sky performing a fusion reaction, and bringing life upon the earth. I mean, that's a supernatural phenomenon. Yeah, but you want to
but
dull it down to just being a rock in the sky and a gas ball. I mean, I don't know. You can if you want, man.
No, Noah actually, Noah absolutely didn't prove that you don't need a physical object to have an image, because every single example in his examples was an image, which indeed was in another place than its physical counterpart, but it always required a physical object to generate that image. A reflection in the mirror requires a physical object to reflect. So yeah, so it,
I
it
mean,
doesn't prove
yeah,
absolutely
sure.
at all.
Well, I mean, sonoluminescence, I mean, what does it require? It requires a kind of a medium and some energy in the form of sound. And apparently that interaction between the medium and the sound will produce light, right? So, I mean, is that the physical object that you'd be looking for? Because, I mean, we do have exclusive proof that that is possible. So we could essentially like imagine that in the sky is a form of like a medium, and there's a vibrational sort of energy point that we call the sun.
Technically, if you were to be very specific, then this would be still a physical image. It's just that the object generating the image would be this medium. The medium is getting excited, and that's why it is glowing. But you don't intuitively think of gases as objects, but technically it's still a form of matter, and you wouldn't get that in a vacuum, if you get what I mean.
I mean, you recognize that flat Earth doesn't observe the vacuum in the sky, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
you
thought
do.
of that. Good explanation.
Yeah, you observe a vacuum in the sky. That's true.
We don't.
What was the
No.
problem? Oh, we don't. Why?
It's not that the idea is not thought of.
Well, I mean, because there's the proposition being put forward as a barrier. Now, I don't think it's necessarily the same kind of barrier as what other people imagine it to be, something like more of a diaphragm. I imagine it to be a Gaussian surface, which is sort of transferring energy from the sky to the ground, and that forms this sort of container. But that's kind of off topic.
Okay, nice. Yeah, in my opinion, like at this point, it's just to sum this up. It's because I don't think this is going to get anywhere further, because it's a matter of just debating the paradigm instead of debating evidence. In my opinion, this is
So
the
you haven't
point
brought any
where
physical evidence for your proposition forward, which is the curious part. That's what
well,
Noah was requesting.
well,
And I just
the
thought it was
image.
funny that your ridicule or your rhetoric was to basically imply that the creator or the source is tricking you because you've got a certain idea of how you think it works. And then when someone comes along and says, well, maybe it doesn't work like that. Look at all these other phenomena, luminescence, mirrors, holograms, etc. We have all sorts of different explanations for what could be going on. But you think it's a trick.
Yeah.
I just kind of I've been trying to get my head around this. Why I've heard a bunch of you guys say this sort of stuff, that why would it try to trick my senses? The irony being that you've actually tricked yourself. You've fallen for into a certain sort of interpretation of what's going on based on, informed sources apparently. And then, anyone that, rejects that is stupid. And then you sort of say, well, why would if you try to put their hat on, the only reason you can think that it would be that way is because you think that it's trying to trick you. It very well may be that it's gone and tried to, what is it? Like, if you're ever getting into an argument with someone where you don't know exactly what you did and they accuse you of doing stuff, right? Because they think that you were intended malice, but maybe you were having a joke with them, or maybe they misinterpreted your actions. this is basically what's going on. I mean, have you ever been in that social situation?
Yeah, I can answer that. So the reason why I think it would have to be a deception is because all of the examples that wouldn't necessarily count as deception that he gave, they don't match reality. They were basically reflection. I think reflection was really the only one which wouldn't count as a deception. But in the case of reflection, you have to have the object that is the source of reflection, and then you have the reflection. So you would basically observe two moons, like the same way as you have a lens flare on a camera. That is a reflection of the sun. So you both see the sun and you see the lens flare, which is the reflection of the sun on the lens of the camera. But we don't observe a second moon. And all other ones, which would be the hologram and the LED screen, I would already count them as a deception because they are generating a completely new image of something that doesn't have a physical counterpart. So it would require a motivation to convince the audience of this image that this exists as a physical object, even though it doesn't, because like unlike a reflection or refraction, it doesn't have a physical source besides just itself. Yeah, and in this case, I think we reach this moment where we discuss paradigms instead of evidence, because as I already said, with this mentality you can basically make up such explanation for anything, therefore eliminating a possibility for all knowledge. It's basically the brain in a jar situation. I think you've heard this discussion many times, that you cannot technically deductively prove that you aren't just a brain in a jar, because it's technically a possibility. It's just that we just reject it a priori because it's so ridiculous, it's so improbable that we like don't even entertain it, even though it's technically possible. You cannot disprove it.
I guess so. I mean, what is it like? I mean, you can't fly, but at some point, someone worked out how to like an aerofoil works, and you can create a sort of lift through pushing that particular aerofoil through the air, right? So then it gave like man access to a whole new perspective. But we still have limitations, right? You can't show me a piece of the sun. You're never going to be able to do that. It's too hot to get near. You can't actually sort of test or experiment with it, but you have certain impositions that you place upon its interpretation of why it is there. I mean, what is it? You got I can't remember how many black spots that are dancing across the surface of the sun, and what causes them? Wow, there's apparently this nuclear fusion going on behind the surface of the sun internally that are manipulating and moving all of those sunspots around it, right? But you can't show me that source. You can't show me. All you can show me is that what's happening on the surface of the sun, just the image itself. That seems to be the nature of reality. I mean, there is a certain depth, a certain height, and a limitation. You've been basically nerfed when you come into this world. I don't know exactly why. I mean, life wouldn't be very sort of, what would you call it? I mean, there's a certain aspect to it, the challenge. You need to be nerfed a little bit in order to like mature and sort of come to an understanding. I don't know. You can't expect to be a god and have god-like view. That'd be ridiculous. You wouldn't have this sort of the tapestry that we see in the world now at all.
I have some questions.
Okay.
Hit it, Raqia.
What color is the source of the sun?
So, okay, when you finish, I'll say my thing. Go ahead, you first.
Yeah, it's only a couple.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it looks yellow to me, right? But we're told it's white, actually, right?
It's because of Rayleigh scattering in the atmosphere.
No. I don't want like the reasons why, but most people, if you ask ordinary people, that the sun is yellow. Okay, what shape is it? Because the normal person, including me, would say it's round. But that it could be square, right?
But no, it couldn't.
Yes, it could. Absolutely. It could be multiple sources that are actually square. And as it gets to your brain and your brain interprets what you're seeing, it appears to be round. We can replicate that. So for you to say there's no way when that can be replicated, there's no way that could be, That's just a ridiculous statement.
You know, you can create a sort of lift through pushing that particular aerofoil through the air, right? So then it gave that like man access to a whole new perspective. But we and you know, you can create a sort of lift through pushing that particular aerofoil through the air, right? So to get near, you can't actually sort of test or experiment with it, but you have certain impositions that you place upon its interpretation of why it is there. I mean, what is it? You got the, I can't remember how many black spots that are dancing across the surface of the sun. I guess so. I mean, what is it? Like, I mean, you can't fly, but at some point someone worked out how to, like, an aerofoil works, and, you know, you can create a sort of lift through pushing that particular aerofoil through the air, right? So then it gave that like man access to a whole new perspective. But we still have limitations, right? Pushing that particular aerofoil through the air, right? So then it gave that like man access to a whole new perspective. But we still have limitations, right? You pushing that particular aerofoil through the air, right? So then it gave like man access to a whole new perspective.